The woman was once the most capable secretary of the Empire's top Blaine family, but overnight, she was persecuted to death. After death, she was reborn as the family's illegitimate daughter who would soon be adopted and killed by her enemy. To avoid repeating the same fate, she decided to find a new guardian for herself first. Who knew that she, simply seeking shelter, would not only gain protection, but also wealth, fame, and even the family she never dared to hope for. At this moment, young Erin lies in bed, gasping for breath, her whole body burning hot like a fireball. Everything around her has already descended into chaos. In her hazy consciousness, she hears a familiar voice. Opening her eyes, Havnik, the enemy who killed her in her past life, stands right before her. Erin is terrified. How can such an absurd life exist in this world? In her past life, she was an orphan from birth. She worked tirelessly for the Blaine family. During 10 years of work, she witnessed countless people die at Havnik's hands. Even so, she never thought she would follow in their footsteps. After all, she was nothing more than a disposable pawn of common birth. A few days later, sunlight fills the mansion, and Erin's illness has improved slightly. As she wanders in the corridor, a familiar voice calls out from behind. She turns around. She sees the maid Mary rushing over, reminding her that she shouldn't be out of bed yet. The mischievous Erin immediately does a few frog jumps, startling Mary quite a bit. "I understand you've recovered." Mary patiently picks her up. "But you should still return to your room and rest well today. If you get a fever again and something goes wrong, I'll really be driven out of the Blaine household." Mary sighs softly, murmuring to herself. She carries Erin back, but Erin inadvertently glimpses the Duke's portrait on the wall. The former Duke Raphael Blaine. Back then, he had 3 sons, but each son had troublesome problems. By comparison, only Havnik was barely capable of inheriting the title. After Havnik confirmed he would inherit the title, he began committing all sorts of evil deeds in secret, and she was once his pawn, handling money laundering and embezzlement for him. Erin looks out the window, quietly recalling the first half of her life. She finds her past life's ending ironic and has completely seen through the cold-blooded and cruel truth of this family. Just as she becomes lost in thought, Mary smiles and brings up the time she had a fever. "That night, I prayed all night, hoping you would get better soon. Though I don't know if it helped, I'm truly happy that you've recovered." Erin listens quietly, deeply moved. She never expected to hear such warm words while lamenting her fate. Mary carries her to the room door, saying she has prepared snacks that she likes. Cookies, raspberries, and milk. Hearing this description, Erin suddenly feels a sense of déjà vu. This is clearly identical to the after-meal snacks for the Blaine family servants. Could Mary be giving her own portion to her? She doesn't want to take someone else's snacks, so she covers her mouth, shaking her head vigorously, saying she doesn't really want to eat, but Mary smiles and says she prepared plenty. This only makes Erin's conscience hurt more. Next, Mary carries Erin into the room piled with clutter. Only then does Erin understand that the previous rumors about the family's poor treatment of illegitimate daughters are actually true. Erin Blaine is the only daughter of the former Duke's second son, Crony Blaine. Crony left the family after marrying a woman of low status and passed away 2 years ago. Only after the couple's death was Erin brought back to the Duke's household. Because her father's relationship with the family was strained, she did not receive the treatment befitting a Duke's granddaughter. After Mary leaves, Erin sits up from the bed. Just thinking of Havnik's sinister and terrifying gaze makes her feel uncomfortable all over. In her past life, Erin was adopted by Havnik as his daughter in the year she joined the household. And when she first arrived at this mansion, young Erin had already died from an accident. Though it was said to be an accidental fall, none of Havnik's servants believed this explanation. Even when his niece was dying from a high fever, he only found it troublesome and flew into a rage. He adopted Erin merely to please the current head of the family, but privately he often felt Erin was a useless child and an eyesore. Thinking of this, the truth becomes clear. Obviously, Havnik got rid of Erin. If she does nothing in this life, she will be adopted by him again. And then, without even a chance to resist, she will be killed again, just like her past life, with no chance of escape, dying in the darkness. But this time, she refuses to die like that. Erin lies on the bed, writing and drawing. She thinks to herself that there must be a reason she was reborn as Erin Blaine. Since she can't live an easy life this time around, she'll just fight to survive like before. She slaps the colored pencil onto the drawing board. She has made up her mind. In this life, her primary goal is not to be adopted by Havnik. No sooner said than done. The next day, Erin comes to the Blaine Mansion's library. She needs to find a book. Finally, she stops in front of a row of bookshelves and looks up. Found it. Basic Magical Science Series. If she wants to implement the plan she made last night, she must master a certain level of magical science knowledge. Magical science is an extremely great and practical discipline. The civilization of the Edenel Empire was born from it. Fortunately, those books are not placed too high. Erin stands on her tiptoes and easily takes them down, holding them in her arms. She hurries back. She hopes the person who will adopt her has magical science as their only interest. Just then, she notices. A messy workbench sits quietly in the corner of the library. She opens the notebook on the table, which contains records about cartographic magic and combined formulas. After careful examination, she discovers that all of this is material related to magical science. Just as she's pondering, a cold voice comes from behind, abruptly interrupting her thoughts and startling her greatly. Erin turns around and sees who it is. It's Jeffrey with disheveled hair. Jeffrey Blaine, the current Duke's third son, a reclusive magical science researcher. Like a mouse hiding in a hole, he basically doesn't communicate with with anyone, staying in his research lab all day buried in his studies. Only matters related to magical science can catch his attention. Aaron imagines him fanatical about magic and can't help feeling a bit timid. She greets him with a trembling voice, thinking, at least he won't kill people like Havenick does, right? Who knew that? As soon as Jeffrey sees her, he immediately orders her to put down what she's holding. Aaron looks down and realizes with shock that she's still holding that notebook. She hastily puts it back on the table, apologizing repeatedly. Jeffrey's face is full of contempt. He tells her to get out and never appear before him again. Helplessly, Aaron can only accept the situation, but she doesn't leave the library. Instead, she chooses a spot a bit farther from Jeffrey and sits down. Her mood becomes dejected. She remembers that Jeffrey extremely hates people touching his belongings, and she carelessly violated his taboo. Originally, she planned to get familiar with Jeffrey and have him adopt her. Now it's great. Forget about interest. Not being driven out is already fortunate enough. Thinking of this, Aaron can't help but lift her head and secretly glance at Jeffrey not far away. He is completely absorbed in thought. Just then, Aaron suddenly has a flash of inspiration. Jeffrey is researching the Yelpro Mana formula, an achievement hailed as a major innovation in magical science. Just by using the Yelpro system, one can create magic tools with a minimal amount of magic stones. But because the formula is too complex and difficult, it took a long time from introduction to practical application. Later, this formula became so important that magic tools not using Yelpro almost ceased to exist. Suddenly, Aaron realizes something is wrong. In her past life, Havenick's research lab publicly claimed that this formula was discovered by them. Could it be that Jeffrey's research results were actually stolen by Havenick? Aaron is shocked by her own realization, trembling involuntarily all over. Her thoughts return to the present. She quietly peeks again at Jeffrey, who is immersed in thought. He is clearly stuck in some kind of mental impasse. Manuscripts are crumpled and discarded, sheet after sheet scattered on the ground. Just then, one of the pages gently floats down and lands right at Aaron's feet. She picks up that manuscript and examines it carefully. Clever as she is, she quickly discovers what's wrong with it. After hesitating for a moment, she walks up to Jeffrey, holds up the manuscript, and tries to call out to him. Jeffrey reluctantly pulls himself away from his research and turns his gaze to this wet behind the ears little girl. But before Aaron can speak, the manuscript is roughly snatched back by Jeffrey. He turns his back to her and ignores her. A trace of dissatisfaction rises in Aaron's heart. She calls out to Jeffrey again. He impatiently turns back and glares at her. This formula is wrong. She musters the courage to point out the error in the manuscript. Unexpectedly, Jeffrey instantly flies into a rage, slamming his fist on the table. He glares at the little girl before him through gritted teeth, his face full of contempt and disdain. What nonsense are you talking about? Aaron is frightened by his angry appearance, and at the same time, doubts arise in her heart. She didn't steal anything or interfere with his research. She just wanted to help. What exactly is he angry about? Thinking of this, Aaron no longer wants to deal with this strange-tempered uncle. I said your formula is wrong, and it's wrong in 3 places, she shouts shrilly. Then she turns and runs away under Jeffrey's stunned gaze. No matter how he shouts behind her, she absolutely won't turn back. The next day, the weather is clear, and sunlight streams through the window into the room. Aaron is irritated and restless, her feet kicking unconsciously. She tosses and turns in bed, still feeling wronged about yesterday's events. After the irritation, dejection wells up. Now forget about having Jeffrey adopt her, even not being disliked has become an extravagant hope. She is completely out of ideas, lying quietly in bed like a doll, staring blankly. Her mood is almost broken. She feels she's messed up everything, and there's nothing left she can do now. Unwilling to sit and wait for her doom, she fumbles her way to the door, planning to go to the library again to apologize to Jeffrey and beg for forgiveness. But as her hand reaches for the doorknob, the door is pushed open from outside. Jeffrey, whom she wanted to see, is standing outside the door, staring at her furiously. Aaron immediately raises her hands to protect herself, wanting to dodge a possible attack. Unexpectedly, Jeffrey only hands her a stack of revised manuscripts. You said there were 3 places that were wrong, right? He asks aggressively. What? Aaron doesn't react for a moment. You said there were 3 places that were wrong. Are these the 3 places? Jeffrey presses on. Aaron is still a bit dazed, staring at him blankly. She takes the corrected manuscript, thinking, did he come specifically to find me just to confirm this? She sees that all the original errors have actually been corrected. Aaron is quite surprised. Just then, Jeffrey suddenly questions her. Why do you know these things? Since when have you been spying on my research? Faced with this baseless accusation, Aaron is baffled. She explains that yesterday was her first time seeing the manuscript, but Jeffrey clearly doesn't believe her. In such a short time, you not only found errors but found 3 of them. This isn't content you can understand just by casually looking at it. Hearing him say this, Aaron finally understands. Her calculations were too fast, making him mistakenly think she had been exposed to the research before. So she gestures and calmly tells Jeffrey that she has a natural talent for mental arithmetic, and this type of problem is nothing to her. Jeffrey is still full of doubt. Aaron then suggests, if you don't believe me, you can test me. Jeffrey thinks for a moment and finds this method feasible. Soon, he brings her to another room, places a pile of manuscripts before her, and has her check for errors. The manuscripts are piled as high as a small mountain. Looking at the densely packed complex content on the paper, Erin falls into thought. Although she's living a second life, she's still not very familiar with magical science formulas. But to win Jeffrey's favor, she still braces herself and begins calculating. After checking, Erin points out the calculation errors in the manuscripts to Jeffrey one by one. He listens carefully to her corrections. Before long, Jeffrey begins scratching his head, incredulous. In over 10 manuscripts, every error and oversight has been detailed and marked by her. He murmurs to himself, how is this possible? This child's calculation speed far exceeds that of ordinary people. But in Erin's view, this really isn't much. In her past life, she received support from the Blaine family precisely because she was one of the top gifted students at the orphanage. When it comes to numbers, she dares say no one here is better at handling them, especially magical science calculations. She can complete them with her eyes closed. Jeffrey looks at her talent and begins to calculate in his mind. With such calculation speed, if he lets Erin handle the calculations, he can simultaneously perform cross-verification himself. He suddenly asks her, how old are you? Erin is frightened by his calculating expression and answers tremblingly, 7 years old. 7 years old seems a bit too young now. But it doesn't matter. He talks to himself as if he's already made a decision for her. Come find me this afternoon. Jeffrey's words leave Erin puzzled. After speaking, he picks up the corrected manuscripts, turns, and leaves, only instructing her to come to the research lab in the afternoon. From today on, you'll be my assistant. Jeffrey's tone is serious, his words full of high expectations for her. Erin's expression changes. She did want to attract his attention, but assistant sounds like a work relationship, not the family identity she wants. I have things to teach you. Remember to come, don't forget. After Jeffrey's reminder, he's about to leave without giving her a chance to question him. Oh, right! He suddenly turns around, startling Erin again. Jeffrey bends down and asks her, what snacks do you like to eat? Erin stares at him blankly, not reacting for a moment. She does have snacks she likes, but those things are too expensive, and she can't eat them often. Moreover, living under someone else's roof now, she doesn't dare make requests casually. Cookies. After hesitating for a while, she answers softly. Really? Jeffrey asks back. Erin nervously rubs her fingers and says softly, yes. Jeffrey looks at the reserved girl before him, thoughtful, but doesn't expose her insincerity. See you later then. This time, he truly says goodbye and leaves. Time comes to the afternoon. Erin stands at the research lab door as agreed. She has changed into clean clothes and looks up at the tall door, still feeling a bit nervous. Although the current situation is better than the worst she imagined. But going on like this, will she be crushed by work again like in her past life? She waves her hand as if to dispel these uneasy thoughts. In any case, at this moment, besides Jeffrey, she has no other choice. Erin makes up her mind and raises her hand to knock on the research lab door. Since she's come this far, she must work hard to win Jeffrey's favor. A response quickly comes from inside, telling her to come right in. Pushing open that door that seems full of hope, Erin sees Jeffrey standing at his desk organizing research materials. Rows of bookshelves surround the area, with thousands of books neatly arranged. This is her first time entering this research lab, and she can't help but be amazed by the sight before her. As she walks toward Jeffrey, she can't help looking around. She didn't expect that staying here all day, he could keep it so tidy. Jeffrey designates a seat for her. She pulls out the chair and sits down, thinking, the size of this small desk is just right for me. Jeffrey tells her to eat the snacks on the table first and wait for him a moment. Only then does Erin notice the plate on the table. Looking at the exquisite tableware, she can't help but feel curious. Gently opening a corner of the food cover, seeing various cookies inside, her mood is neither good nor bad. But when she completely lifts the cover, the contents of the plate delight her greatly. It's actually a fresh and tempting strawberry cream cake. Erin is almost overwhelmed with flattery and can't believe this is real. She picks up the fork, cuts a piece, and puts it in her mouth. The sweet taste and delicate texture instantly conquer her heart. The clever combination of cream and strawberries delights her body and mind. Her hand simply can't stop. This is the most delicious cake she's ever eaten. At this moment, she lifts her head to look at Jeffrey. Suddenly, she feels he looks somewhat different, as if he's become tall and handsome. Jeffrey also notices her gaze. Only then does Erin realize the cake is almost gone. She panics and wants to apologize, but Jeffrey only glances lightly. Wipe your mouth clean first, he says, turning his head away. Through the shiny reflection of the tableware, Erin sees that the corners of her mouth are covered with cream. She hurriedly wipes her mouth, and Jeffrey quietly turns back to peek at her. If you want to eat, I can prepare it any time. You don't need to wolf it down, he tells her. While you work here, I'll prepare any snacks you want anytime. He pushes his glasses, his ear tips slightly red. Erin asks softly, did you make this yourself? Jeffrey nods and coughs slightly twice, because I'm very picky about taste. In other words, this is really a cake he made with his own hands. At this moment, in Erin's heart, Jeffrey is as dazzling as a god. That radiance almost makes it impossible for her to open her eyes. Anyway, that's enough chit-chat. Jeffrey interrupts her thoughts. I'll tell you what to do. Come with me. That godlike man says this. Then Jeffrey hands Erin a book called Everything About Magical Science, and has her take it first. I wrote this. To this day, the Empire has no work that can surpass this book. He explains this is a book specifically specifically lent to her. Aaron holds the book with a somewhat dazed expression. Jeffrey then says seriously, "People like us, that is, geniuses who need to use our brains, must properly supplement sugar. Sweets help keep the brain running." Aaron unconsciously scratches her cheek, although she's grateful that Jeffrey calls her a genius. But was that cake just now only fuel-fed to keep the brain running? She suddenly realizes some not-so-good truth. At the same time, Jeffrey brings over a stack of materials and has her find errors in them like she did in the morning. Aaron looks at the files piled like a mountain, her face stiffening, shouting internally, "This is totally child labor exploitation! Tomorrow I'll prepare chocolate and apple pie." Jeffrey throws out the bait at the right time. "I'll work hard." Aaron is indeed bought off. She can never resist the temptation of delicious food. Time flies. After finishing the afternoon assistant work, Aaron happily walks in the corridor holding the book, although she had long thought that attracting Jeffrey was best done through magical science. She didn't expect this move to be so effective. She nods with satisfaction, feeling that her previous worries were perhaps unnecessary. As long as she continues to assist Jeffrey's research and shows interest in this field, Jeffrey will naturally like her more and more. With a little guidance then, having him adopt her is surely just around the corner. Then naturally she can live out the rest of her life in comfort and plenty in the Blaine family. Just as she's happily imagining the future, an annoying voice comes from behind. "Hey kid!" Aaron turns around and sees Havenek's pair of children, Abelin and Baymel. She knew sooner or later she would run into these two annoying brats in the mansion, but she didn't expect them to still be so ill-mannered. But considering her situation of living under someone else's roof, she doesn't plan to show this disgust. Aaron's bland reaction instead causes dissatisfaction in the two young masters. In the strictly hierarchical Blaine family, the head of the family is at the top, followed by direct descendants, collateral descendants, vassals, and finally servants. Now she and they are both direct descendants. There's no need to act humble at all. Seeing Aaron not only unafraid but even showing a silly smile, Abelin and Baymel are puzzled, thinking she ate something wrong. At this moment, Aaron adopts an adult posture and says in a mature tone, "I'm very sorry. I'm quite busy now. Could we talk later?" This immediately angers Abelin, who looks ready to attack. He reaches out and pokes Aaron's forehead. "How dare you talk to us like that? You're just a bastard child. Who allowed you to come to this main building?" His words are full of contempt. The two young masters clearly don't plan to let her leave easily. Aaron responds seriously, "Please don't make this kind of joke anymore. If I called you the bedwetting brothers, would you be happy?" Abelin and Baymel's faces immediately change drastically. "You, how do you know about this?" Of course Aaron knows. In her past life as a secretary, this was something their mother complained about every day. She offers to keep it secret for them, but in exchange they can't bully her anymore. But Abelin and Baymel point at her defiantly. "What right do you have to negotiate with us?" Aaron has nothing to say to these two immature brats. She doesn't want to get entangled further and turns to leave. But Abelin rushes forward and blocks her way. "Want to leave? Then crawl through here. That's the path that suits you." He sneers and points at his crotch. Faced with such humiliation, Aaron can no longer endure it. "If you refuse, you won't be able to leave here," Abelin says arrogantly. But Aaron shows no fear and responds directly. "Why should I listen to you? Move aside while I still have patience." Her resolute attitude makes Abelin and Baymel hesitate and shrink back involuntarily. "If you act like this, if His Grace the Duke finds out," she thinks, "this should scare these two brats, right? Are you threatening us?" Abelin's voice suddenly turns sinister. He extends his chubby hand and viciously grabs Aaron's hair. "Stop talking nonsense!" Aaron's scalp sends searing pain, the agony striking straight to her soul. "You want to tell grandfather? Go ahead if you dare, you snitch!" Abelin's face is fierce. "An orphan like you, even if you disappeared, grandfather wouldn't care. Orphans should act like orphans and shut up quietly." These words completely cross Aaron's line. Without hesitation, she raises that thick book and smashes it hard onto Abelin's head. Abelin cries out in pain and covers his forehead. Baymel beside him is scared stiff. Aaron is furious. "So what if I'm an orphan? I'd rather be an orphan than become scum like you." Blood seeps from Abelin's forehead. He brought this upon himself. "Get out! Get out now!" Aaron waves the book. Baymel is almost scared out of his wits. Bullies are ultimately all bark and no bite. The two brothers only now taste fear. But Abelin is unwilling to accept this humiliation. He's always the one bullying others. When is it someone else's turn to strike him? Without a word, he rushes forward and grapples with Aaron. "You're finished!" he roars. "I'll make father do the same to your forehead." The three of them make their way to Havenek's office. Havenek is reviewing documents and doesn't pay attention when his sons come in. The two brothers angrily make false accusations first. He lifts his eyelids and glimpses the disheveled Aaron. "You again?" His tone is full of displeasure. Aaron lowers her head, fear rising in her heart. Havenek inquires about what happened. Abelin twists the truth and makes wild accusations. Aaron is shocked by his shameless lies. "Do you want everyone to know you had no parents to teach you?" Abelin's words pierce Aaron's self-esteem like a blade. He pushes Aaron in front of Havenek. "Father, punish her for me." Havenek is annoyed by this farce, but as a father, he still decides to stand up for his son. He walks up to Aaron and says coldly, "Apologize Apologize to your brothers, and this matter ends here. Although Erin keeps her head down, she's unwilling to submit to power. Havenik continues listing her offenses. Erin's fists clench tighter and tighter. Clearly they provoked and attacked first, yet now she must apologize, and the Abelin brothers are looking down at her triumphantly. Faced with coercion, Erin uses silence as her wordless resistance. This reaction completely infuriates Havenik. You're someone who can barely even stay out of trouble, yet you dare ignore my words. His face is as dark as a demon crawling from hell. What are you standing there for? Apologize quickly. He roughly grabs Erin's arm. Erin still wants to argue but is coldly interrupted by Havenik. Kneel down and apologize properly. Erin's eyes widen. That kind of gaze is all too familiar to her. It's warning her to just obediently comply. Is that gaze saying that all I need to do is quietly shut up? She understands that if she doesn't kneel, they will never let this go. As an orphan living under someone else's roof, perhaps she can only. She slowly extends her hand, preparing to yield for now. It's not like she committed an unforgivable crime. Why must she kneel? A familiar voice suddenly rings out. Erin turns around in disbelief. It's Jeffrey! He walks quickly closer. Erin hurriedly turns around, not understanding why he would appear here. In the blink of an eye, he has arrived before her, those exquisite leather boots coming into view. Erin closes her eyes tightly, her heart pounding like a drum, so nervous she can barely breathe. Jeffrey kneels on one knee and gently strokes the top of her head. They actually bullied you like this. I'm disciplining her. What are you interfering for? Havenik questions, but is completely ignored by Jeffrey. This disregard makes Havenik burn with anger. How ridiculous! My son is the one who's injured. He suddenly roars, startling both Erin and Jeffrey. Don't you see this arrogant girl injured my son? A mere wild girl dares to strike a young master of the Blaine family. So young, yet dares to strike her brothers. Brothers? Jeffrey is completely enraged by this word. People who call others orphans and commit violence by pulling hair are worthy of being called brothers? Havenik is still arguing. Jeffrey stands up, his face full of disdain. Go investigate the truth yourself. He looks at Erin. No time to waste. Let's go. Erin doesn't hesitate and follows him closely as they leave. Back in the laboratory, Jeffrey carefully cleans and bandages Erin's wounds. He frowns slightly and asks softly, "Does it hurt much?" Erin quickly shakes her head. It doesn't hurt. After treating the wound, Jeffrey puts the medicine and tools back in the medical kit and reminds her, "Be more careful from now on." Erin feels deeply ashamed. She had wanted to build a good impression in front of Jeffrey and try to get him to adopt her, but now she's caused such trouble. A troublesome child like her, even if she can work as his assistant, probably won't be accepted as family. However, her worries don't come true, Jeffrey tells her. After this incident, those two brothers should behave themselves for a while. Since I've discovered this matter, I won't ignore it. If you encounter trouble again in the future, remember to tell me. You're my research assistant, and I have a responsibility to protect you. Erin promises in a small, aggrieved voice. I won't cause trouble again next time. You didn't do anything wrong. You don't need to apologize. Jeffrey's tone is gentle as he hands back the book that had fallen. Erin takes the book, feeling an indescribable emotion stirring in her heart. She had thought all the Blaines stood against her, never imagining someone would be willing to stand by her side. Jeffrey adds, "If you think the book got dirty from falling on the ground, I can get you a new one." Erin immediately shakes her head. "No, I really like this book. You lent it to me because you trusted me." Her sincere response touches Jeffrey. He never imagined his casual words would be so treasured by this child. Without realizing it, his fondness for this little girl grows a bit more. As night deepens, Erin returns to her room. The maid Mary immediately worries when she sees the injury on her hand, but Erin worries that telling the truth might start rumors. She puts her hands behind her back and explains softly, "I just accidentally fell." Mary clearly doesn't believe this excuse. When Erin shows her the bandaged wound, Mary gently holds her small hand with concern. "Miss, no matter what happens, you must tell me." She teaches her gently. "You have to tell me honestly so I can help you." Then, gazing at Erin, she sighs softly. "Miss, ever since that high fever, you've really become like a different person." Erin freezes at these words. Mary's words make her fall into thought. Thinking carefully, such suspicion is quite reasonable. From the moment she woke up, her mind was only focused on how to survive, never considering what kind of child the original owner should have been. She looks at Mary uneasily, worried about being seen as suspicious, and doesn't know how to explain to dispel the doubts. Just as her mind swirls in confusion, Mary's gentle voice sounds again. "It's not that I dislike the Miss you are now." She gently holds Erin's hand. "On the contrary, I think Miss has become more cheerful, which is wonderful. But please, don't endure pain alone, all right?" This unexpected kindness leaves Erin momentarily speechless, feeling only a warm current quietly flowing through her heart. She grips Mary's hand in return and nods gently. A few days later, Erin carries a stack of discarded blueprints, busily running around in the laboratory. She struggles greatly before finally spreading those large blueprints out on the table. She thinks to herself that Jeffrey is really something, actually planning to throw all of these away. These are all magical device blueprints that will be widely commercialized 10 years from now and will become necessities in people's lives. Though Erin understands Jeffrey's current thinking, materials are currently hard to obtain and the designs are too innovative and might not be accepted by the public. But she knows well the value of these blueprints. So when Jeffrey was about to discard them, she proactively asked to keep them all. Erin clearly knows that she should start commercializing them now and apply for patents, so when demand explodes, they can reap reap substantial returns. She plans to first make finished products to gradually spark Jeffrey's interest. And if she can make money from this, even if she's not adopted by Jeffrey in the end, she can secure a backup plan for herself. She carefully calculates every future step. 3 days later, Jeffrey hurries to the Imperial Palace, leaving only a note saying his assistant can rest today. This sudden trip catches Erin off guard. In her past life, Jeffrey didn't go to the Imperial Palace this early. Perhaps because of her role as his assistant, the original timeline is accelerating. If history hasn't changed too much, Jeffrey will be even busier than now after he returns. So before he returns, she must quickly make products and launch them into the market. Thinking of this, Erin feels immense pressure. Just as she's lost in thought, an elderly voice comes from behind. "Who are you?" Erin turns to look and sees the dignified family head looking down at her. "How are you here?" the old man asks in a deep voice. Erin recalls that in her past life when she saw him, the family head was already gravely ill in bed. She never expected him to still be so healthy now. She quickly bows in greeting. "Hello, grandfather. I'm here because I'm Mr. Jeffrey's assistant," she explains, stammering, having never been alone with the family head before. The family head immediately asks about Jeffrey's whereabouts, and Erin truthfully tells him he's gone to the Imperial Palace. Hearing this, the family head's expression darkens, and he says through gritted teeth, still hasn't pulled himself together, wasting his life in the laboratory all day. His fury leaves Erin momentarily unable to understand. Then the family head's next words shock Erin even more. "Tell Jeffrey if this continues, I'll expel him from the family. He'd better straighten himself out." Erin's expression changes drastically. She never anticipated things would develop to this point. The family head seems to be considering shutting down the entire laboratory. Her mind races. She must find a way to stop this decision. Suddenly, she thinks that if she could make the family head understand Jeffrey is researching a project of great significance like the Elpro system, perhaps he would change his mind. "Grandfather, please wait," she calls out urgently. At this moment, the butler politely comes to report preparations, but the family head raises his hand to stop him. He decides to hear what reason this little granddaughter can offer. "Grandfather, as his assistant, I know best that if this research is completed successfully, it will bring tremendous benefits to the entire empire." Erin volunteers this statement with a firm tone. The family head immediately shows interest, a meaningful smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. Erin gestures earnestly while explaining, "We'll make money soon, and then we won't need to request research funding from you anymore." "You mean Jeffrey?" The family head clearly finds it hard to believe that his wayward son has such capability. Erin begins to stammer, her tone becoming uncertain. The family head murmurs to himself, he's still living in the shadow of the past. Who knows when he'll move on? Just as Erin wonders what the past refers to, the family head snorts lightly. "If you're deceiving me with lies, you'll be punished too." Then he asks Erin what she does as an assistant on a daily basis. Erin looks back at the mountain of manuscripts and answers that mainly she finds calculation errors and corrects them with mental math. The family head immediately becomes interested and casually picks up a manuscript. The butler also pushes up his glasses and examines the manuscript's content together. A moment later, the butler states that this is a specialized magical science equation. Though he's not very familiar with it, he's impressed by the talent Erin has displayed. Hearing this, Erin shows a confident yet well-behaved expression. The family head muses, "I've heard this is quite a complex formula." He looks directly at Erin. "Did you really complete these independently?" "Yes," Erin nods. "I was already good at calculations, and now I'm systematically learning magical science formulas under Jeffrey's guidance." The family head points to that pile of manuscripts. "What do you plan to do with these?" Erin explains they're Jeffrey's discarded drafts. After reading carefully, the family head asks, "Are these failed research results?" After receiving a negative answer, he continues to press, "Then you plan to use them for studying?" Erin ponders for a moment. Her eyes shining, she answers, "I want to turn the designs in these blueprints into actual products and sell them." The family head examines the blueprints, his face filled with doubt and confusion. Erin keenly perceives that the family head seems to have developed an interest in these. She immediately seizes the opportunity to pitch. "The designs in these blueprints may seem unfamiliar now, but in the future they'll definitely become items everyone desires to own. Even you, grandfather, will want to own one." The family head is amused and smiles. "Items everyone desires to own." He crouches down to meet Erin at eye level. "Are you certain this is that kind of product? Can you guarantee it will sell well?" "Of course," Erin answers without hesitation. She enthusiastically continues explaining the manuscript's content while the family head simply watches her quietly without saying a word. "In that case, after the annual council meeting ends, even without research funding, you should be able to manage on your own." The family head's words leave Erin frozen in place. She turns around in panic, trying to confirm whether the family head is joking. The family head says seriously, "According to what you've said, fundraising shouldn't be a problem." Watching the family head and butler converse, Erin suddenly realizes her plan has backfired. She's about to explain, but the family head coldly cuts her off. "Don't stay alone in an empty laboratory. Go back." After saying this, he turns and leaves, leaving only Erin standing there dumbfounded with the manuscripts in her arms. She clutches the blueprints tightly, her heart filled with anxiety, confusion, and self-blame. This time, it seems her good intentions have led to trouble. In the corridor, the butler quickly follows the family head's footsteps. The family head asks in a deep voice, "What do you think?" like? The butler cautiously asks back. Do you mean Master Jeffrey? Not him. The family head turns back in annoyance. I'm talking about Erin. The butler ponders for a moment, then answers after careful reflection. She is indeed more intelligent than children her age, and even more rare is that she possesses considerable foresight. But what's surprising is that when she first came to the estate, she was a child who wouldn't even speak. Before the family head's eyes appears the image of Erin's young eyes filled with sorrow when she first arrived. Just like her father, that second son who resolutely left home for a woman of humble status. Memories and sadness surged through his heart intertwined. His once spirited son ultimately left only one child behind before passing away. The family head gently touches the table at the corridor's edge, murmuring to himself, how can a person's temperament change so drastically overnight? The butler consoles him gently. Perhaps that child has simply revealed her true nature. Children's adaptability often exceeds our imagination. He takes the opportunity to suggest, Lord Blaine, if that's the case, why not let the young miss receive formal family education like the other young masters, discovering and cultivating talented descendants? Isn't that the family tradition you've always upheld? I believe the young miss's displayed aptitude perfectly aligns with the family's educational principles. Seeing the family head fall into thought, the butler adds, moreover, the young miss is still very young. It's too early to measure her abilities with tests now. The family head turns and slowly walks forward. Forget it. What can a small child accomplish? I'm not holding any expectations for this. I just thought, if these words could reach Jeffrey's ears, perhaps they might help him pull himself together a little. A few days later, Erin arrives at the family head's office door carrying a picture book. She thinks to herself, at this time, he should have finished his meeting with the retainers. The Blaine family holds an annual council meeting once a year, specifically for reporting results and making major decisions. This 3-day event has far-reaching influence. Once any decision is made, if they want to change it, they must wait another year. Therefore, everyone bearing the Blaine surname won't be absent from this grand gathering. According to the original timeline, Erin's adoption by the Havenick family should also be officially announced at this annual council meeting. She sighs softly. No matter how she looks at it, this lifetime doesn't seem like it will be peaceful either. In her past life as Havenick's secretary, every annual council meeting, she always had to work through the night preparing materials. Havenick only cared about immediate benefits and had no interest in matters with potential. Once problems arose, he wouldn't hesitate to spend several times the money covering them up, ultimately leaving all the mess for subordinates to clean up, and she had to write various additional reports, whitewashing those failed investments into successful achievements. After being reborn, whenever Erin recalls these things, she feels deeply uncomfortable. In comparison, working with Jeffrey is comfortable and smooth, but if she loses even this job, how will her situation differ from her past life? What if, right after announcing the adoption news, they announce the termination of Jeffrey's research? Then everything would truly be irreversible. Erin hesitates at the door for a moment, her resolve wavering. She can't be certain this action will succeed. Just then, she shakes her head vigorously, casting off those cowardly thoughts. No more pointless worries. She steels her determination. With that, she raises her hand and knocks on the office door. The moment the door opens, she discovers the room is filled with nobles. Everyone sees that standing at the door is actually a small child. They all show confused expressions. Clearly, everyone is curious about her and the reason for her appearance here. The retainers converse in low voices, discussing her identity, and Erin takes the opportunity to quietly observe them. These retainers before her are the ones the family head trusts and relies on most. If she can win their support, the effect might be better than directly pleasing the family head. Her sweet appearance and proper demeanor quickly win the favor of many people. Among them, an important figure, Viscount Ducey, particularly notices her. She explains to the Viscount that she wants to see grandfather, but he doesn't immediately understand. Did you bring a picture you want Lord Blaine to appreciate? Viscount Ducey asks gently. Another retainer nearby interjects, no, at the young Miss's age, she might have written a letter to commemorate learning to read. The surrounding gazes and discussions make Erin somewhat embarrassed. Viscount Duce timely interrupts everyone's speculation. In any case, please come in first, young miss. He steps aside to guide her way. Lord Blaine is inside. Then, he opens the inner door of the room and announces Erin's arrival to the family head. Erin didn't expect that a small meeting is still in progress inside. She hastily bows in greeting to everyone present. Kind, low laughter comes from around her, as if they find her nervous appearance quite endearing. A lady thoughtfully explains on her behalf that this child has something to personally give to the family head. The family head nods slightly, gesturing for her to come forward. So under everyone's curious gaze, Erin slowly walks up to the family head. What did you bring? The family head asks gently. He thinks to himself he was just furiously angry about Jeffrey's matters earlier, so this child might think he's particularly stern right now. A lady gently lifts Erin onto the sofa to sit. Erin hands the picture book to the family head. As he receives it, he asks, must I look at it now? After receiving an affirmative answer, he begins to carefully browse through it. The people around also curiously lean in, wanting to take a look, but the family head looks up and asks, why haven't you left yet? Amid the whispers, Erin can't help feeling somewhat embarrassed. Then the family head simply begins ushering people out. He doesn't want others to see the contents of the picture book. Everyone can only reluctantly leave one after another. And you? The family head looks at Duce, who remains in place. Duce smiles and explains that he just remembered something something he hasn't reported yet and needs to wait a moment. The family head has always trusted him, and after some teasing remarks, tacitly allows him to stay. When the family head's gaze returns to the picture book again, his expression gradually becomes serious. Aaron can't help becoming nervous. Ducey keenly notices the abnormality. Even when reviewing confidential documents, the family head rarely shows such an expression. Could the young miss have drawn something frightening? Ducey speculates silently. But if that were the case, the family head's expression should be even sharper. Who would have known that? After finishing reading, the family head suddenly bursts into laughter, his face full of pleasure. Aaron and Deuce look at each other in bewilderment, both confused. "You child, specifically bringing this to show me?" The family head wipes away tears of laughter while shaking his head in wonder. Ducey can't resist his curiosity and asks the family head to let him see. The family head hands over the picture book. Ducey finally sees the contents. "To grandfather, please turn these blueprints into products for sale. All the money earned will go to you, but please continue supporting Jeffrey's laboratory as you do now. Don't cut off his research funding and don't expel him." Ducey's mind races instantly. This isn't a child's clumsy doodle but a clear transaction proposal. He looks at the young girl, shaken inside. A child who hasn't even mastered neat handwriting is attempting to negotiate with the Empire's most powerful merchant guild leader. He ponders for a moment. He hands the picture book back to the family head. He doesn't continue browsing the remaining contents, though those unseen parts still pull at his curiosity. The family head looks at Aaron with a smile and asks, "Your proposal is indeed interesting, but if following it leads to losses, how should that be handled?" Aaron answers composedly, "In any case, grandfather won't suffer any losses." She further explains that they only need to reclaim unsold products and decompose them back into raw materials. The family head further inquires about initial production costs. Aaron sighs softly, and even Deuce on the side can't help holding his breath in attention. To achieve the goals grandfather has set, compared to the continuously invested research funding, this bit of upfront investment is nothing. These words deeply shock the family head. The implication is that even if products don't sell well, losses can be cut in time and risks controlled to the minimum. This isn't a child playing along with adult topics, but a transaction proposal with genuine business thinking. He immediately sees this little granddaughter before him in a new light. He begins to examine this child with fresh eyes. Closing the picture book, the family head issues instructions to Deuce. He decides to try implementing the plan in Aaron's proposal. He turns to Aaron to confirm, "Did you hear that? Can the magic stones in inventory be used to make the products you designed?" Aaron is both surprised and delighted, not expecting the plan to progress so smoothly. "We're not finished talking yet. Please wait," the family head continues. His gaze falls on the picture book's pages. "You said you most want to sell this product, correct?" After receiving confirmation, he solemnly announces, "Then let's try making it. I'll provide you with the necessary personnel." This decision fills Aaron with joy. Then the family head instructs Viscount Ducey to assist Aaron throughout the work. Ducey readily agrees but indicates he needs to first understand the specific sales content. The family head directly quotes Aaron's original words in response. "It may seem unfamiliar now, but in the future it will definitely become an item everyone desires to own." He looks meaningfully at Aaron and adds, "And didn't you say that even I might want to own one?" These words greatly encourage Aaron. "Then try making it to prove it to me. I'll look forward to the results." "Yes, I'll give it my all." Aaron's blooming smile is as radiant and dazzling as a flower in full bloom. After returning to the laboratory, Aaron's mood is still difficult to calm. Although, even if all the products sell out, the profits won't go into her pocket. As long as the magical devices sell well, at least Jeffrey's and her laboratory won't be immediately shut down. So she excitedly begins preparing various tasks. She plans to quickly complete her duties as an assistant before Jeffrey returns, so she can devote herself wholeheartedly to product creation. Suddenly, she feels something strange. The work she's doing is no different from yesterday, so why does she feel especially motivated today? Is it because the burden on her shoulders has lightened somewhat? The adoption matter hasn't been settled yet, and the family head only said he'd continue observing. Aaron unconsciously lowers her head, a trace of pride curving at the corners of her mouth. "Why? Do I have the illusion that the problem has already been solved?" At this moment, a lady pushing a cart loaded with books enters the laboratory, looking for Aaron. Aaron proactively appears and asks, "May I help you with something?" She immediately introduces herself as Evany, the library administrator, here specifically to deliver books. Aaron feels slightly puzzled. This isn't the administrator she saw in her past life. However, there are too many unknowns, so she doesn't pay it much attention. She enthusiastically greets Evany, who returns a warm smile. Evany explains her purpose. "These are books Master Jeffrey ordered for Aaron." Following the direction of her pointing finger, Aaron is surprised to discover the small cart is piled high with a full stack of new books. Additionally, Master Jeffrey has a message to convey to you. Evany clears her throat, imitating Jeffrey's usual tone. "This time they're not lent to you but given to you. If you don't want to read them, just toss them in a corner." That's what he instructed. After faithfully relaying the message, Evany takes her leave. While organizing the books alone, Aaron suddenly notices one particular book. She gently picks it up and discovers this is the brand new version of that previous book. Ripples stir in her heart. What exactly is Jeffrey's intention with this gesture? However, when she recalls the scene of Jeffrey silently picking up the old book and returning it to her that day, it's as if a flower blooms quietly in a corner of her heart where no one can see. As night falls, wind and rain rage outside the window. Jeffrey returns to the estate out of breath, his boots covered in mud and water. He irritably tosses his soiled coat and gloves onto the bed. Pacing back and forth in his room, he can't help complaining, absolutely absurd, and they call themselves the Empire's top Imperial Palace Research Laboratory. Their research results to date are nothing but crystals with similar properties, like they're playing a research joke. Jeffrey sits down at the table dejectedly, his gaze falling on the shimmering crystal. Has this trip been another waste of effort? He can't help recalling the faces of those people at the Imperial Palace Research Institute shirking responsibility. He feels the path of research ahead is utterly bleak. Leaning back in his chair, he murmurs to himself, no matter how difficult, I must find a breakthrough. Formula errors that even a 7-year-old child can point out. Yet, as chief researcher, all they do is complain. Thanks to Erin's assistance, the stagnant research has been able to progress, yet that child always says it's nothing. She stays in the laboratory all day and should find it tedious, yet she's never shown any sign of boredom. He suddenly recalls Erin's adorable appearance when greedily eating sweets, and Jeffrey unconsciously smiles. He stands up, placing his hands on the table's edge, and murmurs, it seems I really should seriously cultivate her as someone with potential. Building a good foundation is crucial. Sending her to an academy or scholarly institute might be a good choice. Jeffrey ponders, beginning to seriously plan Erin's growth path. Just as his thoughts are becoming clearer, a memory surges forth unexpectedly. His clever and adorable daughter, warm scenes of playing with his wife and child. His footsteps suddenly halt, his soaked boots spreading dark water stains on the floor. The rainstorm outside continues unabated, pale light filtering through the window, exposing his heavy thoughts with nowhere to hide. Meanwhile, Erin lies comfortably in bed, enjoying the long-lost tranquility. Too many things have happened recently, and her schedule is always packed full. However, she finished all the manuscripts Jeffrey assigned yesterday, and now she just needs to finish reading this book before he returns. At this moment, Mary approaches the bedside, hands on her hips, and asks, wasn't Miss planning to rest today? She earnestly advises, on such nice weather, you should go play in the garden. Children need more outdoor activities to grow up healthy, though Erin resists inwardly. Mary still pulls her small hand and urges, go get some sunshine. Erin reconsiders. Indeed, she's only a 7-year-old child now. If she falls ill from overwork, it would be counterproductive. Looking at the bright sunshine outside the window, she thinks going out for a walk might not be a bad idea. Arriving in the garden, today's sunshine is especially warm and bright. Erin lazily strolls along the path, enjoying the warm sunlight. Suddenly, low voices come from a corner. It's actually Heavenix wife Celia, whispering with an unfamiliar man. Good that you understand. At least it's a silver lining. Celia's tone is cold. The man beside her quickly bows with an ingratiating smile, his expression fawning. Hiding behind a flower pot, Erin witnesses their secret transaction. Celia hands a bag of coins to the man, who reaches out to receive it. Once admission is confirmed, I'll pay the remaining balance. This is clearly bribery, she emphasizes in a lowered voice. By whatever means necessary, you must get them admitted. The man nods and bows repeatedly. With this arrangement, it should go smoothly. Celia nods with satisfaction. Just then, Erin accidentally steps on a fallen leaf, making a rustling sound. Celia suddenly turns to look. Erin quickly bends down, pretending to chase butterflies, lying on the ground feigning play. Celia alertly stops the conversation. The man understands and hides the bribe, hastily taking his leave. After confirming the man has left, she walks up to Erin and says, don't you know to greet your elders? Erin looks up, feigning innocence. Celia stares at her and asks, when did you come here? Erin plays dumb and responds, I don't know. I came following a butterfly. Hearing this, Celia breathes a sigh of relief, thinking this child probably didn't notice anything. Fine, you can go. Erin immediately runs away. Only after getting far from sight does she slow down, sorting through her chaotic thoughts. She immediately guesses the man's identity. Silberg, the tutor employed by the Blaine family. She never expected he would help Abelin and Bamel gain admission through cheating. No wonder those two idiots could get into the Imperial Academy. Right now, she really wishes she had a recording magical device. Erin secretly resolves to firmly remember this bribery incident. One day, it will become an important bargaining chip. Just as she's deep in thought, the butler suddenly calls to her. He says the family head is waiting in his office and invites her to come along. Arriving at the office, she sees the family head standing in front of his desk. Erin quickly steps forward to greet him, and the family head gestures for her to sit first. I called you here today for a midterm settlement. As he speaks, he displays a finished product. An elegantly designed hairdryer. He hands it to Erin. She gently presses the button. The hairdryer immediately emits a soft humming sound. Comfortable warm air brushes across her cheeks, refreshing and pleasant. Though similar products already exist on the market, this model's true value lies in its excellent performance after prolonged use. The family head then tells her that the first batch of 50 hairdryers sold out instantly after being displayed in the imperial capital. Because the main feature is automatic temperature control preventing overheating, it's highly favored by young noble women, and now there's a long waiting list. This is precisely why Erin chose to sell this product first. Current hot air devices on the market are not only bulky, with complicated heating and cooling procedures, but improper operation can also burn hair. This hairdryer can not only set temperature but is also lightweight and easy to use. After magical devices become widespread, it's destined to become one of the first bestsellers. With this initial success, the family head sees Erin in a new light. He proposes expanding production scale and seeks her opinion. Erin naturally agrees enthusiastically. Watching the family head and butler converse harmoniously, Erin thinks, the plan to dismantle the laboratory after the annual council meeting should be cancelled now. Now, as long as they leave Jeffrey alone and let him focus on research, and in the future adopt her and raise her, everything is developing in a good direction. The Duke apologizes to Aaron. Grandpa has been neglecting you lately. He looks at Aaron earnestly, with a gentle tone. I should have said these words when I first met you. Will you forgive Grandpa? Aaron smiles slightly. It's okay. I'm very happy just to chat with Grandpa. Her obedient words quickly win the Duke's favor. The Duke puts down his teacup and says to Aaron, as an apology for neglecting you, I want to give you an opportunity for education and advancement. Although she's happy to hear about a gift, she can't help but wonder, what does the Duke mean by this? If it's a reward for her business acumen, it should definitely be something she can get immediately. So she deliberately shows an unhappy expression and says to the Duke, I can read by myself. The Duke just chuckles at this. At this moment, the butler explains, Miss, the Duke hopes to cultivate your abilities properly and wants you to receive a more systematic education. But Aaron is still not interested. This isn't what she wants. She struggles with how to say it so the Duke will understand her thoughts. Just then, footsteps approach from a distance. Aaron and the Duke simultaneously turn their gaze toward that person. Lord Duke, you were looking for me. It's Silberg, the Blaine family's tutor. The Duke gestures for Silberg to sit down. Aaron stares intently at Silberg, and that gaze makes him shudder involuntarily. Aaron thinks to herself, he's being way too obvious. Is he worried I'll tattle on him? After Silberg sits down, the Duke introduces Aaron to him. I hope to entrust her to you for education. Although she's still very young, her learning ability is excellent, the Duke says proudly. Then, the Duke asks Aaron to greet teacher Silberg. Aaron clasps her hands behind her back and walks curiously to her new teacher. Hello, I'm Aaron Blaine. She curtsies elegantly to Silberg. Both Silberg and the Duke are very satisfied with her etiquette and applaud in praise. At this moment, the butler hands over a cup of tea. He says politely, Miss will surely stand out at the Education Institute and enter the Imperial Academy as the top student. Silberg also follows with flattery, making the Duke very happy. Aaron watches everyone chatting and laughing, not understanding what they were laughing about, feeling somewhat awkward in this lively atmosphere. She thinks to herself, if she had been adopted by the wrong person, forget about the academy. She might not have survived before enrollment. Time comes to evening. Tonight's night is especially beautiful, with a serene and peaceful atmosphere. Aaron and Jeffrey are working in the laboratory. Jeffrey pushes up his glasses and discovers incredibly that during his absence, Aaron has actually organized all the manuscripts. Aaron excitedly says she not only organized the manuscripts, but also finished reading all the books he borrowed. Jeffrey is very satisfied with this. Suddenly, she thinks she'll be starting school soon and won't be able to come to the laboratory every day. Should she tell Jeffrey about this in advance? After hesitating, she still decides to discuss this matter with Jeffrey in advance. Jeffrey looks at her with a serious expression. After hearing Aaron's account, Jeffrey kicks open the door to the Duke's office. Who gave you permission to take away my assistant for education? Jeffrey says furiously. The Duke is immediately angered by his rude attitude and stands up from his seat. Aaron follows behind Jeffrey, feeling somewhat scared facing this imminent father-son battle. The Duke sees Aaron, his expression startled, and his momentum restrained somewhat. He feels troubled by Jeffrey's behavior and attitude. For a child, what's needed is education, not work, right? The Duke glares at Jeffrey angrily with a gloomy tone. Jeffrey says disdainfully, others would think I locked her up and made her work desperately. The Duke immediately responds, a child's nature should be to play and grow, yet you have a 7-year-old child working alone in the laboratory. I don't want to raise another useless person like you. Get out! The Duke points at Jeffrey with a stern warning. Jeffrey's brow furrows at his father's sharp words, while Aaron stands worried on the side, not knowing how to resolve this conflict. Aaron feels anxious and uneasy. Watching the two confront each other, she can't help thinking, the Duke and Jeffrey must have had long-standing resentment between them, right? Jeffrey seems to want to continue arguing, but is mercilessly interrupted by the Duke. Enough! I don't want to hear your stubborn arguments anymore. Jeffrey immediately slams the table angrily and shouts back. Aaron, standing on the side, is frightened and at a loss by his sudden outburst. If this continues, all her efforts will be in vain. What if Jeffrey gets driven away? She absolutely cannot let this happen. At this moment, Aaron makes a soft call, attracting the attention of the two arguing men. Facing two tall adult men, she's nervous and scared. She closes her eyes to encourage herself. She must do something, or the situation will only get worse. Can't being an assistant and going to school happen at the same time? She finally musters the courage to ask. This suggestion makes both men fall into thought. For Aaron, she really doesn't want to give up either opportunity. More importantly, if she gives up either side, she'll probably lose connection with that person forever. Jeffrey calms down and proposes, I'll arrange her studies. I'll send her to the Academic Institute or the Imperial Academy. The Duke still wants to refute, but Jeffrey immediately raises his voice. I know very well what this child is capable of. Seeing the dispute about to resume, Aaron raises her hand to stop them, but she's only met with the two men's stubborn stare down. The butler, watching from the side, sighs softly. He approaches Aaron and asks quietly, Miss, may I have a moment of your time? But Aaron doesn't react at all, which puzzles him. Aaron is terrified by the intense argument before her, her face pale. Jeffrey and the Duke still hold their own positions, arguing endlessly. The tension between them fills the air, and neither is willing to back down first. During the argument, someone knocks over the inkwell on the table. Aaron's heartbeat suddenly accelerates. Deep deeply shocked by this chaotic scene. Soon her eyes begin to redden, glistening with tears. She sobs quietly, continuously wiping away the tears with the back of her hand. Finally, a loud cry interrupts the argument between the Duke and his son. The butler shakes his head helplessly on the side. Aaron sobs and cries, repeatedly murmuring, "It's all my fault." Jeffrey immediately turns to comfort her, and the Duke also holds his forehead and sighs deeply. Jeffrey gently picks up Aaron and apologizes softly. "I'm sorry, let's go." He holds Aaron protectively and voluntarily ends this meaningless dispute with his father. Back at the laboratory, Aaron is still downcast. Jeffrey brings her a golden-colored drink. "Drinking this will make you feel better," Jeffrey says softly. Aaron is still sobbing softly, thinking that after becoming a child, it's indeed harder to control her emotions. She looks at the drink Jeffrey hands her. She shakes her head gently. Jeffrey immediately apologizes. "Sorry, I scared you. We'll talk about that later. Father didn't get angry because of you. Don't worry too much." Aaron weakly responds yes, still very downcast. Suddenly, Jeffrey seems to remember something. "Come, look at this." He carries a heavy wooden box in front of her. Aaron lifts her head and looks at the box curiously. She suddenly becomes alert. Jeffrey wouldn't be trying to show off how many jobs he took from the palace, would he? After all, he only has eyes for research. Then, Jeffrey pours out the contents of the box and Aaron is shocked by the sight before her. Could these be desserts from Alice's dessert shop that even royal family members have to reserve in advance? As you can see, I didn't buy too many because I really couldn't spare the time. Jeffrey looks at her somewhat anxiously, but Aaron's eyes are already sparkling, showing a longing expression toward the scattered desserts. Jeffrey finally understands. He gently strokes Aaron's hair, instructing her not to eat too much at once. Aaron is as happy as a puppy getting a reward. Then Aaron begins selecting desserts. Jeffrey sees her attention has been drawn to the desserts and thinks the timing is right. "It seems you've calmed down a bit. Now tell me, what exactly happened?" Aaron asks back. "Are you asking how I met Grandpa?" "Not that," Jeffrey denies. "When I wasn't here, did Havenit come to the laboratory?" Aaron wonders in her mind and asks him why he suddenly asks this. Jeffrey answers that he heard from Viscount Deuce that the blueprints Aaron took were made into products. At this, his face shows displeasure. Aaron quickly explains that after reading the blueprints, she was curious about how they worked, so she told Grandpa, and Grandpa helped. Jeffrey feels very surprised. "This wasn't Grandpa's idea, but your own?" Jeffrey asks. Aaron immediately nods yes, then asks for Jeffrey's opinion. Jeffrey says since those blueprints were given to her, naturally she can do as she wishes with them. However, Jeffrey still finds it strange. How would a child think of commercialization? He confirms again. "Really, no one instructed you?" Aaron nods vigorously. "Right." He finds it hard to say, but thanks to Aaron, the laboratory was preserved and even earned money. Aaron tells him not to worry. The patent rights are all registered under Jeffrey's name, which gives Jeffrey another surprise. She explains seriously that since these are magic tools designed by Jeffrey, even if they can't profit immediately, they can earn patent fees in the future. Then she realizes a child shouldn't speak and act so thoughtfully. She quickly adds that Grandpa taught her all this. Aaron says she hopes everyone knows these are Jeffrey's works, but actually she was worried about losing her income source after being driven out of the laboratory, so she found this way out. But if she tells the truth, Jeffrey would probably go argue with the Duke again, so she decides to pretend she doesn't know. Jeffrey looks at the little girl immersed in desserts and sighs helplessly, holding his forehead. Afterward, Jeffrey discusses with the Duke, and they reach a consensus to temporarily follow Aaron's suggestion. This way, Aaron can receive education within the family and continue working as an assistant. Everyone's happy. Back at the laboratory, Jeffrey gently strokes Aaron's hair and says, "You can think about your future direction slowly. Whether it's the academic, institute, or the academy, it's still too early for you now." Although he says this, Jeffrey occasionally still shows dissatisfaction, but Aaron just needs to cooperate by showing a happy smile. Soon after, the first day of attending school at the family finally arrives. The weather is especially sunny. Mary carefully arranges Aaron's collar. She reminds her of various matters to pay attention to. Aaron nods excitedly, preparing with anticipation to go to the education institute taught by the Blaine family tutors. Most of the Blaine family's education takes place at this education institute. Although students are mainly direct descendants, capable collateral relatives can also receive education after passing review. After Aaron arrives at the classroom, she finds a seat and sits down, thinking that since they're all family, children, she must get along well with everyone. Just as she thinks this, she hears someone call out to her. "You're the new direct descendant?" a red-haired boy says. Due to the strong light by the window, Aaron can't see his face clearly for a moment. The boy jumps down from the windowsill and walks toward Aaron. He extends his hand proactively and greets her friendly. "Hello, I'm Fordelman. I'm 10 years old." His smile is sincere and pure. His red hair is intoxicating like red wine, and his amber eyes shine with extraordinary brilliance. Aaron's heart stirs. So this is Fordelman. In the future, he's not only outstanding in ability and joins the Imperial Knights Reserve, but his handsome appearance also captivates many noble ladies. He's famous in high society. If someone doesn't know Fordelman's name, they'd be suspected of not being a citizen of the Empire. Being able to meet such a person is indeed a good thing. Aaron also extends her hand warmly to respond to his greeting. Just as the two are chatting happily, a harsh, clanging sound comes from behind. Fordelman looks toward the sound. "They're here!" He shows a contemptuous and disgusted expression. The arrivals are the arrogant Abelin and Bamel brothers. They're bullying weak weaker classmates again. Aaron and Fordelman see this scene and both feel very dissatisfied. Isn't the child being bullied Knox? When he grows up, he'll also be as famous as Fordelman and become the exclusive court mage of the palace. Magical scientists like Jeffrey can cast spells with the help of magic stones, but they're completely incomparable to mages born with magical power. Therefore, the Empire has always treated mages with great respect. The last outstanding mage dates back hundreds of years. But now, this future important figure is suffering such bullying. If Knox's father Modari knew about this, he would certainly fly into a rage, but Knox has never mentioned these things to his parents. At this moment, Fordelman steps forward and stops this bullying. The Abelin brothers are indifferent to his appearance and tell him to mind his own business. Both Aaron and Fordelman feel very displeased by this. Suddenly, Bamel makes a face at Aaron and calls her by an insulting nickname. Fordelman turns and asks Aaron if she knows them. Aaron doesn't answer. She really doesn't want to admit knowing such people. At this moment, Abelin notices Aaron is sitting in his usual seat. He pushes Aaron away forcefully and shouts at her loudly. Aaron falls to the ground, and Abelin looks down at her triumphantly. "Hello, young masters and miss!" Ebony's voice rings out timely, interrupting this dispute. Her appearance surprises everyone present. Abelin's attention is drawn to Ebony, and Fordelman takes the opportunity to help Aaron up from the ground. Ebony smiles and informs everyone that due to certain arrangements, Teacher Silberg's class will be postponed to tomorrow. Before then, please read the textbooks first. Abelin complains dissatisfiedly on the side. At this moment, Ebony's gaze sweeps over Aaron. She deliberately pretends not to see, turns her head slightly, and says lightly, "I'll excuse myself." Aaron feels puzzled. She just glanced briefly and left? But with her past life secretary experience, she quickly understands the worldly wisdom. Servants without real power are indeed helpless before noble children. The one who can truly resolve this situation must be an adult who also holds power in the Blaine family. After Ebony leaves, Bamel points at Knox and suggests to Abelin to continue the earlier game. Knox trembles all over in fear. At this moment, Aaron suddenly stands on a chair, holds up a book high, and shouts, "Children, I'll distribute books to everyone!" The Abelin brothers see Aaron easily attracting everyone's attention and feel very unconvinced. So Abelin speaks harshly to Aaron, trying to drive her out of the classroom. Aaron doesn't back down and clearly states she'll finish reading here before leaving. Abelin raises his fist, trying to threaten Aaron with violence. Aaron stares at him fearlessly, and Abelin's fist raised in midair involuntarily stops. He snorts coldly and leaves behind the harsh words you'll see. From the last experience, Aaron saw they're the type who bullies the weak and fears the strong, so she's not afraid. Just at this time, Fordelman and Knox discover that the books distributed this time are actually the version they saw in the last class. They feel strange. Ebony never brings the wrong books. What's going on? When Ebony arrives at Havenek's office, he's reviewing documents. As soon as she walks through the door, Havenek questions why she's so delayed this time. Ebony explains she was just entrusted by Teacher Silberg to deliver books to the Education Institute. This reason is barely accepted. Havenek waves the document in his hand and asks dissatisfiedly, "So you came empty-handed? Where's the journal?" Ebony is stunned for a moment. She then explains that Jeffrey no longer conducts research at the library. All the materials have been moved to the laboratory. Havenek asks when this started. Ebony answers since Miss Aaron became his assistant. This answer surprises Havenek quite a bit. Has she been doing any special work recently? Havenek continues to ask. Ebony fumbles for a long time without saying a word. Havenek immediately gets angry and shouts sternly, "Don't play tricks, tell the truth." Ebony says she's just worried Havenek won't believe her. Havenek says he'll judge for himself. She can only remain silent, her mood terrible to the extreme. She explains to Havenek that Aaron is checking Jeffrey's research journals and picking out errors, but Havenek is skeptical of this explanation. Ebony further explains that it's not simple arithmetic but advanced equations that even academic institute teaching assistants have difficulty solving. After hearing this, Havenek becomes thoughtful and begins calculating secretly. He thinks to himself, could Aaron be a genius like Jeffrey? This makes him can't help but recall last night's conversation with his wife Celia. At that time, Celia was constantly chattering in his ear about Aaron entering the Education Institute while he was focused on documents. Suddenly, Celia raised her voice. He also felt very irritated. He glared back angrily. Celia didn't back down at all and asked him what he wanted. Faced with his wife's forcefulness, he ultimately chose to give in. Jeffrey's inventions were made into products and brought considerable profits, and supposedly this was all that little girl's idea. Celia didn't believe his words at all, which made him very angry. Celia questioned, "Didn't you say Jeffrey's product designs should all belong to you? How did someone get ahead of you this time?" Havenek answered regretfully, "Who could have predicted those useless inventions would be valued? If I'd known, I should have formally signed a contract. Why would Uncle give the designs to that girl? Does he plan to make her his heir?" Celia pressed. Havenek thinks this possibility is unlikely. After all, Aaron isn't Jeffrey's biological daughter, but Celia says this is even more suspicious. There might be some long-term plan behind it, and only they are kept in the dark. She paces back and forth in the room, constantly speculating whether the Duke and Jeffrey made some deal, using that little girl as a cover. This series of speculations makes Havenek agitated. Then the two broke into a heated argument. But Celia isn't as easily emotionally unstable as Havenek. She always knows the priorities of matters. She walks quickly to Havenek. While straightening his tie, she reminds him, although the situation is anxious, shouldn't we hurry and take action now? She tightens the tie slightly and says solemnly, "Listen carefully. Although the Duke and Jeffrey are at each other's throats now, who knows when they'll they'll join forces. We must find out what they're plotting before that happens. Recalling his wife's words from last night, Havenik gradually gets a clue. He saw long ago that little girl isn't simple. No wonder Father and Jeffrey argue endlessly over her, since even Father values her so much. It means she's definitely not ordinary but a treasure worth fighting for. Havenik suddenly lets out a cold laugh. He instructs Evany to leave first. Evany doesn't react for a moment. Seeing her still dazed, Havenik is about to get angry, so Evany hurriedly bows and leaves. Wait, he adds one more command. Next time I summon you, find a way to copy at least one page of the journal and bring it back. His gaze suddenly becomes fierce, threatening. If you come empty-handed again like this time, you'd better be mentally prepared. These words make Evany feel immense pressure. After leaving the office, Evany walks in the corridor, sighing deeply. She pushes open the library door, secretly lamenting that the trouble she's involved in is more complex than imagined. Just at this moment, she notices several children waiting in front of her. Fordelman, Aaron, and Knox are all present. She immediately asks them what they need. At this moment, Jeffrey's voice suddenly comes from behind. During work hours, where did you go? Jeffrey's tone carries reproach. Jeffrey's sudden appearance makes Evany anxious. Seeing this, Aaron explains that because Evany brought the wrong book, they asked Jeffrey to help get the correct textbook. Knox also points out timely that they already studied this Imperial History Volume 1 last time. But Evany explains that this might be because Teacher Silberg wants to start from the beginning to accommodate Aaron. It's okay, I've already read them all anyway, Aaron says calmly. She adds that this content was all in the books Jeffrey bought for her last time. Hearing this, Fordelman and Knox immediately cast admiring glances at her. Jeffrey on the side seems to want to say something but ultimately remains silent. Then he urges Aaron and the other children to go back first. He keeps Evany alone, saying he needs her help with something. After Aaron and the others leave, Jeffrey inquires, I heard you went to the Education Institute. Is Aaron adapting well? Evany answers that Miss Aaron is adapting very well. Jeffrey asks further if there are any difficulties. It seems her relationship with young Master Abelin isn't very harmonious, Evany says hesitantly. Jeffrey immediately understands that Abelin wants to bully Aaron again. He orders Evany to pay more attention next time she goes to the Education Institute. If anyone else wants to harm Aaron, be sure to report to me promptly, Jeffrey says seriously. Evany agrees on the surface, but is speechless inside. Does secretly investigating count as harm? She really can't understand. She can't figure out why these two important figures take turns giving orders to a small library manager. She feels like a little shrimp being attacked by two giant whales. Nevertheless, to satisfy Jeffrey, she still nods respectfully in agreement, thinking to herself that she's now become a double agent. When that day's class ends, the classroom is already filled with the glow of sunset. Aaron packs up her bag. She walks together with Fordelman. Suddenly, a gaze catches her attention. Knox is hiding behind the door, looking at her cautiously. It's okay. Abelin is no longer in the classroom, Aaron calls out to him. At this moment, Fordelman asks curiously, Aaron, aren't you afraid of Abelin? Aaron looks at him. Fordelman brings up how Abelin threatened her earlier, but Aaron clearly hasn't taken this matter to heart. Knox walks closer tremblingly and says admiringly, Aaron, you're really brave. You're younger than me but not afraid of Abelin. Even when he raised his fist to hit you, you didn't even blink. Seeing Knox's timid appearance, Aaron asks him why he doesn't tell his parents about being bullied. Knox answers in a low voice, I don't dare. Aaron asks for the reason. Knox just keeps his lips tightly closed and remains silent. After a moment, he finally speaks, I'm afraid they'll think I'm disgraceful. My father often travels by large ships doing business everywhere. Even facing scary people, he can express his thoughts calmly. He's a very remarkable person, but I can't even say words of refusal and get bullied by Abelin every day. I'm afraid if father knew, he'd think I'm a disgrace to the family. These words deeply move Aaron. She understands Knox's feelings very well, but she also wants to change his thinking. So she thinks for a moment and decides to tell Knox an important secret. She beckons the two to come closer. She lowers her voice and reveals, the Abelin brothers still wet their beds. Fordelman is greatly shocked and hurriedly asks Aaron to confirm if this news is true. Of course, Aaron says solemnly. They don't dare touch me because I have this leverage over them. She looks at Knox. If you can't speak up, no matter how many times I'll stand up for you. If they dare ignore you and bully you again, I'll beat them up directly. She shows Knox a brilliant smile. This smile instantly captures Knox's heart. He stares at Aaron blankly, his heartbeat accelerating. Aaron extends her hand to him and invites, so, let's act together. Facing this sincere and brave invitation, Knox's cheeks flush. He doesn't know how to respond for a moment. Finally, he still extends his hand and accepts this kindness. Fordelman also requests to join. Thanks to the universally disliked Abelin brothers, the three establish a precious friendship. After school, Aaron walks in the sunny corridor with her bag on her back, humming a song in a cheerful mood. At this moment, sounds from outside attract her attention. Looking down through the corridor window, a group of people is walking toward the mansion. Aaron thinks to herself that judging by those people's attire, they seem to be first-time visitors. Looking at the man beside Havenik, she thinks to herself, has the plot from her past life already developed to this point? She presses against the window and sees that group heading toward the Duke's office. Her mood becomes tense. No, she's not ready yet. Aaron runs frantically through the corridor with her bag. She must at least pave the way for the Duke before that person arrives. After a sprint, Aaron pushes open the Duke's office door forcefully and shouts, "Grandpa!" Because she ran too hastily, she doesn't see the path clearly and bumps into someone. She falls to the ground, letting out a cry of pain. At this moment, a hand wearing luxurious rings extends toward her. Erin looks up. The owner of the hand is dressed luxuriously with a greasy expression, smiling and greeting her, wanting to help her up. She thinks to herself, in the end, she was still one step too late. At this moment, the Duke's aged voice comes, "Is that Erin? Is there something urgent? Why are you running so hastily?" he asks curiously. The young man beside the Duke asks who this little girl is. The Duke answers this is Erin they mentioned before. He looks at the middle-aged man on the other side. "Modari, my little granddaughter is probably about the same age as your son Knox." After saying this, he kindly beckons Erin over. "Just back from the Education Institute?" Erin nods. The Duke says with slight regret, "Grandpa would love to chat with you, but there are guests now. Can you please wait outside for a bit?" But Erin came precisely for these so-called guests and naturally won't leave. She immediately asks the Duke if she can listen in. The Duke is surprised by her request. She happily raises her hand and acts cute. "I want to see how Grandpa works. I'll be very quiet and won't disturb you. Is that okay?" Viscount Deuce immediately chimes in. "I think letting Miss observe is good. It's a great learning opportunity for her. She might even offer some good suggestions." He winks playfully at Erin. Erin understands and answers loudly, "That's right!" The Duke then asks for everyone's opinion. They all say they don't mind. Even Havanik, who has never liked Erin, has to say words against his will and agrees to let Erin stay. Erin, of course, knows Havanik isn't sincere, but she doesn't care at all. What she's really worried about now is that if left unchecked, it will definitely cause huge losses. This Viscount Trunet that Havanik brought. In her past life, he severely deceived them. At that time, the Blaine family suffered considerable losses. Erin remembers this vividly. This time, she must fight back and protect the Blaine family's assets. Thinking of Trunet's sinister, cunning, and greedy face, she absolutely won't allow the money earned from the hairdryer to be swindled by this con artist. This contract? She must stop it no matter what. Silence fills the office. Everyone takes their seats and begins discussing business matters. The yellow-bearded man introduces himself first. "I am Trunet, master of the Purpak Trading Company." He goes on to explain that Purpak Trading Company mainly engages in maritime trade between continents and only deals in high-priced luxury goods in international trade, such as ancient artworks and specially crafted leather products. Watching him talk eloquently, the Duke remains silent. Caught in the middle of the adults' conversation, Erin gradually feels exhausted. At this moment, the Duke interrupts his speech. "So what you mean is, you hope to introduce imported luxury goods into our empire for distribution and sale, correct?" "Exactly." Trunet beams with a smile, looking just like a grinning fox. The Duke then asks what assistance they hope to receive from his trading company. Trunet rubs his hands together and deflects, saying they've always focused on international business and aren't familiar with the empire's internal situation. After Modari questions his motives, Trunet finally explains that they hope the Blaine family's trading company can help solve the transportation and distribution issues after the goods enter the country. Modari feels very troubled upon hearing this. If we're responsible for both distribution and delivery, then where exactly does the Purpak Trading Company's value lie? Seeing his friend being questioned, Havanik grows angry and warns Modari to watch his words. Modari responds with sound reasoning. The goods aren't even produced by them directly. If it's just coordinating merchandise, our company has been doing this kind of business for years. Havanik immediately retorts, "These aren't ordinary goods, they're luxury items. This is high-end business that concerns brand value." Seeing the two arguing endlessly, Viscount Deuce quickly steps in to mediate. Modari continues, "Luxury goods management is difficult. Counterfeits are rampant, and distribution channels are extremely selective. One wrong move and the losses could far exceed the profits." Havanik responds furiously, "Our company needs to enhance its reputation, and of course we'll carefully evaluate the risks involved." Neither backs down, and tension fills the air. At this moment, Trunet seizes the opportunity to speak directly to the Duke. "Duke Blaine, I understand your concerns, but please trust us. I ask you what madman would dare sell counterfeits to the Coke Trading Company?" Watching Trunet lie without changing his expression, Erin feels nothing but contempt for this man. The Duke falls into thought. After a moment, he speaks. "In any case, I understand. Our company will discuss this matter internally and contact you afterward." He explains the reasons for this decision in a measured tone, then signals the butler to see them out. Havanik clenches his fists, unwilling to accept this. But since the Duke has spoken, they can only choose to compromise. After the meeting ends, Havanik catches up to Trunet and begs for more time to persuade the Duke. Trunet shows a meaningful smile. "I believe this contract will be difficult to achieve. How would the Duke easily reconsider a venture that his eldest son strongly promotes?" These words immediately make Havanik feel guilty. Seeing him waver, Trunet pressures him further. "This deal involves a considerable amount. We can't wait indefinitely." "You want us to pay a deposit first?" Havanik asks nervously. After receiving an affirmative answer, he asks about the amount. 10 million gold coins. This number shocks Havanik. Trunet reassures him with feigned ease. "No need to be so surprised," he explains confidently. confidently. Since this is a luxury goods deal, naturally the deposit must be higher. Then he leans close to Havenik and whispers, "As long as you prepare it, in the near future." Havenik presses his lips tightly together, struggling internally. 10 million gold coins is no small sum. Where will he raise such a fortune? His previous plan to commercialize Jeffrey's designs was intercepted by someone, and the mine he invested in produces far less than expected. His recent performance has simply plummeted. At this rate, he won't have any decent business achievements to present at the annual council meeting. But if he backs down now, where will his dignity be? I understand. In the end, Havenik cannot resist the temptation of vanity. We'll prepare it as soon as possible. On the other side, after returning to the laboratory, Erin looks at the blueprint spread out on the desk. She calculates in her mind, right now Trunit is probably discussing the deposit. Setting aside the deposit, for now, she must find a way to prevent them from officially signing the contract to minimize financial losses. Lost in thought, she looks somewhat wilted. At this moment, Jeffrey walks over and asks what's wrong. She answers that she's thinking about what kind of product to develop this time. But actually, she's wondering if there's a magical device among these blueprints that can detect lies. Jeffrey really can't figure out what goes through this child's mind all day. At times like this, just eliminate the options that seem useless first, right? He says while flipping through the blueprints. Then he pulls out one sheet, drawing Erin's attention. Erin examines it and asks, "Is this a cane?" Jeffrey answers, "This is a magical device for identifying animal gender. I only made it because I discovered a new formula and thought it would be a waste to leave it idle. After completing it, I found it completely useless, so I tossed it in a corner." Erin looks carefully and indeed finds the name gender identifier written on the blueprint. She stares at the blueprint, falling into thought. Jeffrey also waits curiously for her reaction. Erin thinks that if this thing can be placed on eggs to identify chick gender, then even if it doesn't sell well, at least some units can be sold. Jeffrey thinks about it and feels her words make sense. This magical device was originally designed to identify chicken gender. Modifying it now to identify eggs does present difficulties. Just as Jeffrey seriously considers the feasibility of this plan, Erin falls into new contemplation. She considers carefully for a moment. Then a flash of inspiration appears in her eyes. She says to Jeffrey with anticipation, "Jeffrey, about this part, can you explain it in more detail?" The next day, internal discussions begin within the company about the Perpak luxury goods business. Modari consistently opposes this deal, believing their side bears too much risk. Viscount Duche points out that Perpak Trading Company's luxury goods business flourishes in other countries. Modari points out that large quantities of counterfeits circulate in the market. Some even experts find difficult to distinguish. After pondering, Duce admits this is indeed the most fundamental problem in the luxury goods industry. So he advises the Duke, "If we cooperate with the Coke Trading Company, we must ensure no counterfeits appear to avoid damaging our company's reputation." At this moment, Erin enters with her latest idea. She pokes her little head in and greets everyone. Seeing his clever little granddaughter, the Duke's mood immediately lightens and he warmly approaches her. The next second, Erin's words surprise him. "I thought of a good idea and came specially to tell Grandpa." A few days later, Havenik once again invites the swindler merchant Trunit to the mansion to discuss the luxury goods deal enthusiastically. Havenik talks enthusiastically, while Trunit just smiles silently. Moments later, Havenik excitedly pushes open the Duke's office door, only to see young Erin also sitting in a chair. His good mood instantly feels like cold water was poured on it. "Why is this child here again?" "You're here. I've been waiting for you." "Both. Please sit." The Duke seems in good spirits. The Duke serves tea to Trunit, then explains his purpose for summoning them. He hopes to extend the timeline for advancing the contract. Trunit doesn't understand. "It's exactly what it sounds like. I don't plan to rush this matter," the Duke says calmly while leisurely sipping tea. His explanation is, without sufficient trust between both parties, it's difficult to conduct such a large transaction. Trunit takes the opportunity to ask how to build trust. At this moment, it's Erin's turn to appear. "Hello, Uncle Trunit." Erin cheerfully greets the swindler merchant. Trunit flatters her in return, his words revealing a merchant's shrewdness. Erin sneers inwardly, thinking this swindler won't be laughing much longer. She puts her hands behind her back and says obediently, "Could you please leave some samples? We've decided to develop a magical device that can identify authenticity." Erin's words make Trunit break into a cold sweat. "What does this mean? You're making a tool to distinguish genuine from fake goods?" "Yes, exactly," Erin answers cheerfully. Then she seriously introduces their plan to Trunit, revealing they'll soon be able to create a counterfeit detector, and Jeffrey himself will personally participate in its development. Thinking of that famously fanatical mage Jeffrey, Trunit's heart falls into complete chaos. Jeffrey personally developing it? His hands and feet tremble uncontrollably. He certainly knows how perfect the magical devices Jeffrey creates are. At this moment, Havenik raises doubts. How would Jeffrey, who never involves himself in worldly affairs, participate in such matters? Deuce immediately explains that during this time Jeffrey often acts together with Miss Erin, and this plan was proposed by Miss Erin and discussed with Jeffrey. Havenik's gaze becomes alert and dangerous. At this moment, the Duke rises from his chair. Gently stroking Erin's head, he says proudly, "This child is remarkable, isn't she? Just from listening to the adults' conversation, how did she happen to think of this idea?" Trunit nervously inquires about the magical device's progress, and the Duke tells him they expect to start production soon. "Recently, the market is flooded with counterfeits. We just want to confirm. You needn't worry too much." Even so, the Duke's pointed warning still makes Trunit nervously gulp. Important matters discussed. This meeting comes to an end. After leaving the Duke's office, Trunit walks alone when Havenik calls out to him. "Lord Trunit, what do you mean by leaving without consulting me?" Havenik questions questions angrily. Why leave without providing samples? Please give me a reasonable explanation. These words make the swindler merchant Trunit nervous again. No, those goods in the carriage are really not suitable for showing to the Coke trading company. Trunit walks ahead and unconsciously pulls down his hat brim as he answers. Havenik completely doesn't understand why his attitude reversed so quickly. Looking at Trunit's seemingly arrogant back, another possibility surfaces in Havenik's mind. Could it be that if the deal falls through, Trunit plans to trade with other companies instead? The more he thinks about it, the more certain he becomes, his thoughts sinking deeper into the wrong path. Trunit appears aloof on the surface, but inwardly feels nervous about his scam being exposed. After figuring it out himself, Havenik calls out to Trunit again. Trunit turns his head slightly to look at him. Trunit didn't expect Duke Blaine's eldest son to be so easily deceived, so he simply asks directly, then, when can the deposit be ready? Havenik quickly wonders why the other party is suddenly so anxious about the deposit. It must be because Lord Trunit is eager to finalize the contract. He immediately states, "We'll gather the 10 million gold coins as soon as possible," but Trunit magnanimously says it's fine if they can't gather it all, they can give whatever they can first. Yes! Please don't worry, there will be good news soon, Havenik promises earnestly. At night, Havenik returns to his room. He requests a loan from Celia in a humble and earnest tone. Celia firmly refuses to lend such a huge sum, so Havenik suggests turning to her father for help. This makes her even more unable to accept. She slams the table and shouts sternly, "Stop saying such disgraceful things! The Blaine family needing to borrow 10 million gold coins from my family. Who would believe such a thing if it got out?" But Havenik won't give up what he considers an excellent business opportunity and persistently begs, following behind her, after being mercilessly scolded by his wife. He also feels full of grievance and can't help but say through gritted teeth, "Father completely ignores my tireless efforts, but listens to everything that Brat says." This seems to remind Celia of something. She looks at Havenik puzzled. "That Brat? You mean Aaron?" The frustrated Havenik nods in confirmation. Then he recounts the whole story to his wife in detail. After hearing her husband's account, Celia falls into thought. Is Jeffrey going to interfere in business again? After a moment, she stands and says seriously to her husband, "Honey, I think we can't just let this go. We must find a way to separate these two." These words immediately catch Havenik's attention. Celia analyzes word by word. If Jeffrey is going to obstruct us in everything like this, then we must prepare ourselves. We need to take that child away from the little uncle. On the other side, after returning to the laboratory, Aaron excitedly tells Jeffrey what happened in the Duke's office. Jeffrey pats her head and praises her for doing well. He asks Aaron to sit for a while as he turns to get some snacks. At this moment, Aaron suddenly stops. She looks up and asks, "Why don't you ask me what I want to use the counterfeit detector for?" Jeffrey turns his head and answers casually, "Well, if that magical device can satisfy your curiosity, it doesn't matter what it's used for." Aaron stares blankly at him, feeling somewhat disappointed inside. Does Jeffrey truly not care, or is he willing to trust her unconditionally? Then Jeffrey changes the subject and asks how her classes are going recently. Aaron answers that the teacher is very busy and keeps assigning them self-study. Jeffrey adjusts his glasses and says, "I'll say it again. There's nothing you can learn there. Just think of it as giving your mind a rest." Aaron nods obediently in agreement. She also strongly agrees with Jeffrey's view. Compared to attending classes, taking this opportunity to become familiar with classmates is clearly more important. She's already calculating which connections to make using the opportunity of going to the Education Institute. At the same time, she needs to watch whether Silberg has any corrupt behavior, record the profit situation of additional magical device production, check logs in the laboratory. So many things swirl around in her little head, and as she thinks, her eyelids grow heavy and drowsy. She unconsciously yawns, then alertly covers her mouth and quickly apologizes to Jeffrey. Jeffrey expresses understanding, saying it's normal for someone her age to feel sleepy at any time. He considerately lets her go upstairs for a short nap, promising to wake her later. Aaron obediently goes upstairs, thinking so children really do want to sleep at any time. Soon, she falls deeply asleep in the soft bed. Her entire body completely relaxes. Not knowing how long she slept, Aaron dimly hears sounds of the Duke arriving. The Duke's deep voice carries over, seemingly discussing important matters. Aaron's eyes snap open, jolted awake from her sleep. She listens carefully, wondering why the Duke has come at this time. Downstairs, the Duke goes straight to the point, saying he's looking for Aaron. Jeffrey indicates that Aaron is resting upstairs. Listening to their conversation, Aaron's heartbeat quickens, feeling extremely nervous. Thinking of how the Duke and his son have always had a poor relationship, she realizes she must immediately pretend to have just woken up and hurry downstairs. "I plan to adopt Aaron." The Duke's words make Aaron's whole body stiffen. "I plan to officially announce the adoption at the annual council meeting," the Duke says to Jeffrey. Aaron nervously speculates, perhaps the Duke came to discuss making Jeffrey the guardian? But the Duke's intention doesn't seem to be that. Concerning Aaron's fate, Jeffrey's expression becomes especially serious. Aaron, hiding on the second floor, watches everything below uneasily. As Jeffrey's expression grows more grave, her emotions fluctuate accordingly. "I've said before, I'll handle Aaron's matters myself. You don't need to worry," Jeffrey says, turning around. "So you plan to just continue neglecting her like this?" the Duke asks seriously. Jeffrey stops in his tracks. "Aaron needs parental love right now. She can't just keep living with you forever, can she? If you truly think of her best interests, who do you plan to have adopt Aaron?" Jeffrey interrupts him. After circling around the topic, the Duke finally proposes having Havenik and his wife adopt Aaron. Aaron's mood sinks completely to rock bottom. Jeffrey laughs disdainfully. "Father clearly plans to have Havenik adopt Aaron, yet tells me to think of the child's best interests?" The Duke defends defends himself, saying that even if Havnik lacks ability, he's doing his utmost for the family. And for the past 2 years, you've just been wasting time here. His words are particularly harsh. Jeffrey naturally doesn't accept this, insisting that maintaining the status quo is better than having Havnik adopt her. The Duke murmurs dismissively, maintain the status quo? If Aaron were Viola, would you say the same? Hearing the name Viola, Jeffrey's whole body trembles, his heart surging with emotion. Aaron, hiding on the second floor, thinks, Viola? Is that Jeffrey's daughter? She vaguely remembers that the child died several years ago in an explosion accident, along with Jeffrey's wife. For Jeffrey, this is undoubtedly an eternal wound and forbidden topic in his heart. The Duke continues advising, telling Jeffrey not to just talk about caring for Aaron, but to truly consider taking responsibility for her. Jeffrey argues, that's just your speculation, father. The Duke growls, how I wish it were only my speculation. The Blaine family's third son locks himself in the laboratory all day, haunted by the spirits of his dead wife and daughter. Who in the family doesn't know this? I'm sick of you wasting time every day searching for a culprit who doesn't exist, and I don't want to see you playing house with a child the same age as Viola anymore. Every word cuts deep, and Jeffrey can't help but clench his fists. The Duke rebukes angrily, don't use Aaron to satisfy yourself. Seeing Jeffrey's dejected state, Aaron worries, if this continues, all her efforts will be in vain. At this moment, Aaron pretends to have just woken up, making rustling sounds in the loft to attract their attention. She rubs her eyes and asks lazily, did Grandpa come? She asks if the Duke came about the counterfeit detector, and the Duke nods with a smile, saying he's very concerned about the production progress. The grandfather and granddaughter then engage in warm pleasantries. After the pleasantries, Aaron quietly glances at Jeffrey beside them. She finds his condition very poor, his whole demeanor especially dejected. The Duke also sighs deeply. Aaron walks down the stairs and asks with concern, why are you sighing, Grandpa? Are you very tired? No, it seems only you worry about Grandpa. Thank you, Aaron. The Duke answers with a smile. Aaron nods, but weariness inappropriate for her age flashes in her eyes. She thinks, the Duke is indeed a good grandfather to Aaron. She nervously rubs her hands together and asks hesitantly, Grandpa, do I have to leave the laboratory? The Duke feels somewhat surprised by her question. He gently strokes Aaron's head and says, it seems our little Aaron heard our conversation while half asleep. He patiently explains to Aaron, I'm not sending you away. I want you to stay by my side for a long time. No matter where you go, you can come to the laboratory anytime. But Aaron doesn't care about laboratory access at all. What she truly fears is being adopted by Havnik. She almost wants to reveal being bullied by Havnik's family, to have the Duke hold them accountable, and make Havnik apologize. But on second thought, before the plan is exposed, she might face retaliation. Aaron immediately becomes hesitant. The Duke seems to see her concerns and asks directly, do you dislike Havnik? Aaron quickly waves her hands and explains, it's not that I dislike him, it's just, after hesitating a moment, she finally says, it's Abelin and Bamel who don't like me. The Duke's expression becomes grave. He imagines the willful brother's behavior and feels Aaron's reason makes sense. Then he turns his gaze to Jeffrey and asks Aaron, then how do you feel about being with Jeffrey? Aaron immediately expresses that she really likes Jeffrey, emphasizing that Jeffrey has always been very good to her. Now is the critical moment. She must seize this opportunity well. Recalling the last time she was bullied by the Ebelin brothers, when Jeffrey stood up to protect and comfort her, a warm current surges in Aaron's heart. She presses her fists tightly against her chest and says seriously, and when I'm wronged, he always stands by my side. At those times, I feel like sunshine is warming my heart. This sincere statement first touches Jeffrey, but thinking of his father's words, don't use Aaron to satisfy yourself, he unwillingly clenches his fists again. He asks himself, what feelings does he truly have for Aaron? Is it exploitation or genuine care? Aaron says seriously, so what I like most is doing research together with Jeffrey like this. Although her tone is firm, her slightly trembling body doesn't escape the Duke's notice. The Duke smiles gently. He already understands Aaron's feelings. All right, just trust Grandpa. I'll do my utmost to arrange a comfortable living environment for Aaron. Hearing this promise, a smile blooms again on Aaron's face, filled with hope and joy. After that, Aaron spends several peaceful days. Not knowing if the Duke is busy looking for an adoptive family, there's been no news and teacher Silberg hasn't returned yet either. This calm actually makes her feel uneasy. Just as she's drowsing under a tree, Fordelman's call comes from not far away, and Knox comes with him. What are you doing here? Fordelman asks, coming closer. Aaron shows him the rules of business she's reading, with the subtitle Dreams Can Come True. Neither Fordelman nor Knox have heard of this book, but Aaron praises it as very interesting. Fordelman asks about the book's content, and Aaron explains it's a business guide. As the two talk, Knox suddenly remembers something. I've seen my father reading this book. Aaron thinks of the shrewd Modari and guesses he must have read it repeatedly. A subtle connection forms between them. Thinking of this, she smiles slightly. Her smile immediately makes Knox feel shy. He says softly, Aaron should get along well with my father. Knox's words surprise Aaron. You mean Lord Modari? She asks knowingly, and Knox nods in confirmation. Aaron recalls having little contact contact with Modari in her past life, but he indeed didn't seem difficult to communicate with. Looking at the adorably quiet Nox, she thinks if she can get to know Modari, naturally she can also get closer to Nox. So she smiles at Nox. If I can become familiar with Lord Modari, I should be able to play with Nox. Often, Nox responds happily like a lively puppy. That would be wonderful. Erin wonders to herself why he's so excited, while Fortelman, seeing this, also considers whether to find this book to read. The children chat and laugh cheerfully, completely unaware that someone is quietly approaching. Miss Erin, so you're here? Evening time. Erin, wearing a pink coat, runs cheerfully toward the Duke. The Duke asks with a smile. Just back from the laboratory? Erin answers she went to the Education Institute and then to the laboratory. The Duke praises her, and Erin takes the opportunity to promote herself, saying she's learned a lot following Jeffrey. The old man satisfyingly pats her head, and Erin giggles. Erin catches sight of the Duke's desk piled with documents, thinking he's indeed working here. With the annual council meeting approaching, the old man takes time from his busy schedule to find her. Could it be about the adoption? Just as she's lost in thought, the Duke suddenly says he wants to give her a gift. Erin looks over, feeling somewhat disappointed. So it's not about discussing adoption. Keeping the laboratory only benefits Jeffrey. I want to give you a gift you truly want. These words make Erin fall into thought. She carefully weighs if she directly requests being adopted by Jeffrey, it seems too urgent. If she asks for jewels, though useful later, it won't help win the Duke's favor. In the ducal manner, she's just an orphaned, illegitimate daughter, still young. She must be very calculating. In that case, please give me a wish voucher. Erin decides carefully. The Duke asks curiously what a wish voucher is, and she explains it's a certificate to redeem one wish at any time. The Duke smiles ambiguously. It seems you haven't decided what you want yet. Erin takes the opportunity to act troubled, her adorable manner making the Duke laugh heartily. All right, I'll give you a wish voucher. Anything goes as long as it's not dangerous. I look forward to seeing what you'll wish for, the Duke promises solemnly. Erin cheers happily. Grandpa is the best, just as grandfather and granddaughter are chatting happily. The butler knocks and enters, interrupting the conversation. The Duke asks Erin to sit for a moment, and she obediently agrees. After he leaves, Erin notices a document on the desk. She looks over curiously. It's actually the Chadwick Diamond Mine financial report. Erin immediately becomes alert. Isn't this the ledger of that failed mine Havenik operates? She remembers that at the time, to make the mine's profits look good, they simply modified the numbers before submitting it. She turns her head to look at the Duke and butler who are conversing. She thinks, Trunit's swindling of the deposit cannot be recovered, but this failed mine might still have hope. Just as she's about to point out the ledger problem to the Duke, she suddenly stops. She thinks of something more important. As long as she uses this discovery, won't she be able to find a legitimate reason to refuse being adopted by Havenik? To cover his business deficit, Havenik hastily purchased the Chadwick Diamond Mine. However, this mine not only had no diamonds, but couldn't even extract coal, ultimately becoming a severely loss-making venture. Having made no profit in his annual business ventures, Havenik resorted to falsifying the account books to save face. In her past life as a secretary, Erin's first assignment was to thoroughly deal with these falsified account records. Back then, Havenik told her to just handle it casually. He probably calculated that the family head was busy with the annual council meeting and wanted to slip through unnoticed. By the time the family head discovered the accounting issues, it would be too late. Now Erin must find solid evidence before the annual council meeting to show all attendees that Havenik is completely unfit to be a guardian. Erin sits on the sofa deep in thought. Rather than the falsified books, she must find the original true accounts. But where should she look for that ledger now? As she racks her brain, a scene from her past life suddenly surfaces, handling the fake accounts for Havenik. That ledger that passed through her hands. She knows it all too well. Suddenly, inspiration strikes Erin. That's right, the secret ledger. That book personally written and secretly kept by Havenik. If she exposes this before the annual council meeting, she can completely unmask his true nature. Just then, the family head, who was conversing with the butler, suddenly calls out to Erin. She nervously turns around to see the family head reminding her that dinner time has arrived. Erin says she'll return to her room right away, but the family head strokes his beard and hesitantly asks if she'd like to dine together. She's quite surprised. An opportunity to dine with the family head. Just imagining it feels wonderful. Erin gladly accepts the invitation. The scene shifts to the dining room. Erin follows behind the family head, curiously looking around, thinking so this is where the Duke usually dines. At this moment, Havenik and his wife Celia appear in formal attire. Coming into their view, the family head shows no surprise at their arrival. Celia smiles and says, "Since father rarely invites us to dine together, we arrived early to wait." After speaking, her gaze falls on Erin behind the family head. Erin instinctively moves closer to the family head, hiding behind him. Celia then suggests having Abelin and Baymel join them for dinner as well. The family head looks displeased upon hearing this. He coldly rejects the suggestion. An ominous feeling rises in Erin's heart. As expected, the family head is still considering letting Havenik adopt her. Otherwise, he wouldn't deliberately arrange for her to appear at such a family dinner. She can't help but feel nervous, her heart full of anxiety, with her countermeasures not yet fully planned. If she's really adopted by Havenik, the consequences would be unthinkable. Just then, Jeffrey's voice interrupts everyone's conversation. Erin's tense emotions finally ease a bit. With Jeffrey present, she's at least not completely isolated in this perilous situation. Havnik immediately questions Jeffrey about why he's late. Jeffrey responds with complete disdain, "That's none of your business. If my assistant hadn't asked, I wouldn't have come at all." These insincere words quite surprise Erin. But now that Jeffrey has appeared, perhaps things will take a turn. Jeffrey's attitude displeases Havnik, while Jeffrey himself remains indifferent throughout. "Must you two clash like this every time you meet?" the family head reproaches. After everyone is seated, Erin gazes at Jeffrey in his casual clothes and indifferent expression, wondering, did he really come for me? Sumptuous dishes are served one after another, and dinner officially begins. The family head signals everyone to eat. Erin's hand holding the soup spoon trembles slightly. Excessive nervousness leaves her with no appetite, and she worries about making noise while eating and leaving a bad impression on the family head. Jeffrey, sitting beside her, quickly notices her distress. He thoughtfully passes her a plate of food. Pushing up his glasses, he says, "This is probably the most delicious dish here." Grateful for his thoughtful care, Erin decides to take a bite. Sure enough, as Jeffrey said, the dish is indeed delicious. Comforted by the good food, Erin gradually relaxes, temporarily immersing herself in this rare moment of pleasure. Just then, Erin hears the family head and Havnik discussing the per-pack trading company. Havnik mentions that he's already paid the deposit, which surprises the family head. Watching him boast like this, Erin sighs inwardly. This man is truly both impulsive and foolish. After the trading company topic concludes, Celia gently nudges Havnik's elbow, signaling him to bring up the main matter. Havnik clears his throat twice, drawing the family head's attention. "I'm preparing to officially establish the research institute I mentioned to you last time. The personnel and facilities are all arranged." The family head says it's too early to establish it now, but Havnik insists the timing is perfect. Erin can join the research institute as an intern. He finally reveals his true intention. The family head is surprised by his proposal. Havnik immediately explains that Erin is currently only doing simple calculations under Jeffrey. He also mentions commercializing Jeffrey's designs, speaking very convincingly. It seems he came prepared this time. Erin unconsciously clenches her fists. This is clearly an attempt to claim all the profits from Jeffrey's designs for himself, with her included in his calculations. As Havnik talks endlessly, the family head puts down his utensils and interrupts him. "Before that, we should first decide this child's future." The dinner finally reaches the main topic. The family head states his intention to find adoptive parents for Erin at the annual council meeting. This sudden decision slightly shocks the Havnik couple. With her own fate and even survival at stake, Erin becomes tense again, her face turning pale. "I hope you can become candidates to be Erin's adoptive parents." This statement from the family head greatly surprises Havnik. While Erin is so tense she nearly faints. At this moment, the rational Celia interrupts the conversation. "Setting aside how sudden this is, what does candidates mean? Are there other options besides us?" The family head sets down his wine glass and answers frankly, "That's right. I plan to recommend one candidate each from the direct line and the branch line." The family head then states that if Erin is adopted by the branch line, she can no longer live in the Duke's mansion. These words leave Erin with mixed feelings, unsure whether to be happy or worried. The Havnik couple didn't expect such an unexpected windfall at the dinner. It simply falls right into their lap. We'd be delighted, of course. Their attitude changes so quickly, like chameleons. Erin tightly grips her skirt hem, her heart full of unwillingness. The family head clearly promised to choose the most comfortable home for her. If things really develop to this point, she'll have to use the wish voucher to make clear her position of not wanting to be adopted by Havnik. For the branch line, I plan to recommend the Modari family. This statement from the family head gives Erin a glimmer of hope. Modari? Havnik is greatly shocked. The family head says with sound reasoning, he's a core figure in the trading company, deeply trusted by everyone. Entrusting Erin to him should give us peace of mind. He also reveals that he's already discussed this matter with the Modari family. Modari's son Knox was very happy when he heard Erin might become family. Hearing this, Erin recalls Knox's excited expression that day. She immediately understands everything. The short-sighted and impulsive Havnik wants to argue, but is interrupted by his shrewd wife Celia. "Father, what's your reason for specifically selecting candidates and planning to make the final decision at the annual council meeting? Don't you also hope for adoption by the direct line, Father? Then leave it to us. Wouldn't settling Erin quickly be better for her?" Celia then turns to Jeffrey with a fake smile. "Jeffrey should also agree with us adopting Erin quickly, right? That would be more beneficial for research, wouldn't it?" These seemingly airtight words hit the family head's sore spot. He stabs his fork heavily into the roast and coldly interrupts. "Enough! That guy never cares about family affairs. What decent opinion could he offer now?" This statement leaves Jeffrey speechless. "You already have 2 children and should have many things to worry about now. Considering these circumstances, I plan to give both sides some time to think. Before then, Erin, you should think it over carefully too," the family head says, looking at Erin. Erin sneaks a glance at Jeffrey. He remains silent, sitting quietly in his seat. Though they sit close, both have an unspoken understanding of each other's thoughts. After dinner, the night sky sparkles with stars. In her room, Erin silently contemplates Things have ultimately come to this. The Duke's backup plan is actually Modari, giving her 3 potential adopters. If she goes to the Modari family, having a reliable companion like Nox seems nice. But Modari and Havenick clash at every turn, which gives her some concerns. If adopted by Modari, it means completely breaking ties with Havenick, the Duke's heir. But on second thought, the Coke Trading Company's current achievements are inseparable from Modari's outstanding contributions. The Duke has indeed provided her with a good option. Aaron looks at her picture, book, quietly pondering. Modari is responsible and a decisive superior. He should also be a good father. However, she still can't help feeling a sense of loss. She can't help but think of Jeffrey. Though he attended the dinner, his attitude remained cold throughout. Has he decided not to get involved in the adoption matter? This thought leaves Aaron feeling melancholy. But she quickly sets down the picture book and calmly reminds herself, now is not the time to be sad. She clenches her fists to encourage herself. The primary goal is to avoid Havenick, not necessarily to be adopted by Jeffrey. She draws a slash through the icon representing Havenick, planning to give up on having Jeffrey adopt her. However, after eliminating Jeffrey, she hesitates again. Her gaze falls on the icon representing Modari. She suddenly realizes, no, she should look at the current situation with a longer-term perspective. She then circles Modari's portrait, telling herself this is just a newly added option. Nothing is decided yet. Whether adopted by Havenick, Modari, or Jeffrey, each has pros and cons. Moreover, Jeffrey's position isn't clear yet, and the family head seems to favor Havenick. Now she must make thorough preparations to completely eliminate Havenick from the options, to keep more possibilities open. She decides not to give up on Jeffrey as an option for now. After sorting out her thoughts, Erin feels refreshed, more confident and calm about her future life. She reviews her plan one last time. Very good, all sorted out. Starting tomorrow, she'll pull herself together, find the secret ledger, and completely remove Havenick from the adoption list. After the lights go out that night, Erin lies in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. She turns over, recalling that in her past life she received the secret ledger at some point. She closes her eyes and gradually falls asleep, her mind echoing, what exactly did Havenick say to her back then? Havenick's figure appears in her dream. He's lecturing her? The original ledger? How could such an important thing be kept in the office? It would be trouble if someone stole it. I'm going to the Education Institute shortly. Follow quietly later. The ledger is with someone. Erin bolts upright in bed, waking from the dream. The Education Institute. That's right, the Education Institute, though she couldn't see who it was. Havenick did indeed give the secret ledger to someone at the Education Institute. Someone who stays long-term at the Education Institute. Silberg. Could the secret ledger be with Silberg? The next morning, sunlight streams through the window into the room. Silberg is teaching students at the Education Institute. A hand reaches from behind and gently pokes Fordelman's shoulder. Knox leans close and whispers in his ear. He asks Fordelman if he made Erin angry. Fordelman quickly waves his hands and shakes his head in denial. Knox looks worriedly toward Erin. He sees her looking displeased, surrounded by a gloomy aura. At this moment, Erin tightly grips her pencil, continuously scribbling in her book. During every break, she deliberately avoids Silberg, secretly searching for traces of the secret ledger. But she never finds anything resembling the secret ledger. That book made of expensive premium leather, she couldn't possibly mistake it. Where has the secret ledger been hidden? Suddenly, a thought flashes. Could the secret ledger not be in the Duke's mansion at all, but stored elsewhere? But she quickly dismisses this idea. No, with the annual council meeting approaching, how could he leave an urgently needed ledger outside? Everything returns to square one. Erin scribbles in her book, realizing that if her guess is wrong, she must reason it out again. There's another possibility now. It's still early, and Havenick hasn't given the secret ledger to Silberg yet. In any case, she can't jump to hasty conclusions yet. Erin gazes at the clear sky outside and sighs deeply. If that's the case, it would be better to let the secret ledger continue lying quietly in Havenick's office. Meanwhile, Havenick discovers the secret ledger has vanished and is flying into a rage in his office. Looking at the mess all over the floor, he's anxious inside. He clearly remembers it was in the desk drawer the last time he saw it. Furious and exasperated, he kicks the desk leg hard. Gritting his teeth with a dark expression, he swears, whoever it is, if he catches them, he'll definitely kill that person. On the other side, in the library, Evany stumbles upon a strange book by chance. It's the very secret ledger that Erin and Havenick have been desperately searching for. She holds up the book in surprise, examining it carefully. It has neither a title, nor author, nor any classification label. Just as she's about to open it, the book falls heavily to the ground. An ominous feeling instantly wells up in Evany's heart. Her gaze inadvertently sweeps across the pages, and the numbers catch her attention. She gathers her courage and picks up the book. Leaning against a nearby bookshelf, she begins examining it line by line. This doesn't seem to be an ordinary book, but a handwritten ledger. Could it be an account book used by some family member? She murmurs. Suddenly, her finger abruptly stops when turning to a certain page. Evany's face changes drastically. She covers her mouth, staring at the contents in disbelief. Time flies. After school at the Education Institute, Erin, who spent the whole day searching for the secret ledger, returns to her room and wearily slumps at her desk. She feels very discouraged. She specifically investigated all the servants at the Education Institute and confirmed there's no one else besides the teachers. In other words, the person who's been stationed longest at the Education Institute is indeed only Silberg. Erin scratches her head in frustration. From the current perspective, The secret ledger being in Silberg's hands is still the most reasonable guess. Just then, there's a knock on the door behind her. After the door opens, Erin curiously looks back. She sees 3 young maids of different builds standing before her. They introduce themselves. In turn, the tall one is Lisa, the gentle one is Ash. The sharp-looking one is Sarah. Erin asks about their background, and Mary explains with a smile. These are Mrs. New Maids. The Duke specifically hired more staff for Miss... She sighs. It will be very busy during the annual council meeting. With more hands, I can catch my breath a little. The clever Erin immediately understands and greets the new maids warmly. After the pleasantries, Erin orders. Now that greetings are done, everyone can go back to their own business. Hearing this, the maids look at each other. They insist that Erin must assign them some tasks, but Erin truly has nothing she needs them to do. At this point, Mary approaches Erin and gently suggests, Miss has been staying in her room ever since returning from the Education Institute. The weather outside is nice now. Would you like to go for a walk with the maids? The maids immediately perk up, all looking at Erin with expectant gazes. Erin thinks to herself that she must use this free time to formulate plans. She has no time to go out wandering. But seeing the maid's sparkling eyes, she really can't bear to refuse. So she closes her book and says she'll go for a walk after returning this book to the library. The maids offer to accompany her, but Erin has already rushed toward the door, leaving them behind. The maids look embarrassed. Mary, who has been taking care of Erin, explains, Miss hardly talks to anyone. She's only recently become familiar with children her own age. After Erin runs out of the room like a deserter, the maids are helpless about it. Miss seems too mature for her age. It seems the family head was right, Lisa sighs. But the maids aren't discouraged. They're determined to take good care of Miss Erin's daily life. On the other side, Erin runs out to the corridor and looks back to confirm the maids haven't followed, then breathes a sigh of relief. Though she's grateful for the maid's care, she really has no time to relax and play right now. She thinks to herself that since she's coming to the library anyway, she might as well make her plans there. When she pushes the door open and enters the library, she happens to encounter Evany holding a stack of books. Evany asks what book she's looking for this time. Erin explains she's not here to borrow books, just wants to find a place to read. Evany tells her she's on duty at the counter and can be found anytime if needed. But watching the flustered Evany, Erin finds it somewhat strange. Sure enough, she glimpses the top of Evany's stack of books. The secret ledger she's been desperately searching for is right there. Erin immediately panics. Why is the secret ledger in Evany's hands? It turns out that just minutes before Erin arrived at the library, Evany had just discovered the shocking contents in the ledger. The more she reads, the more unbelievable it seems. The amounts recorded are absurdly beyond imagination. Some places even use special markings. Evany falls into panic though. She doesn't know exactly what kind of ledger this is. She's certain she's gotten into big trouble. Just then, the library door is pushed open. Evany looks alarmed. Who's there? Then Erin's little head peeks out from behind the door. Evany immediately relaxes and forces herself to stay calm while talking with her. She feels fortunate. Thankfully, it's just a child. No one should have noticed anything unusual yet. Time returns to the present. Evany returns to the counter, the alarming secret ledger still sitting on the desk. She gently strokes the ledger's cover, planning to return it to its original place after Erin leaves. Just then, a fluffy little head pops up from behind the counter. Erin acts innocent and asks curiously, "What's that red leather book? Can I touch it?" Evany maintains her composure on the surface, but inside she's crying out in despair. Why now of all times? This book doesn't have a lending card yet, so it might not be convenient. Plus, it's not suitable for children to read. She makes up an excuse to brush it off. Fortunately, Erin doesn't press further, and Evany breathes a sigh of relief. After Erin leaves, Evany stands behind the counter, quietly looking at the red leather ledger. Then she bends down and takes the opportunity to hide the ledger under the counter. All of this is witnessed by Erin, who's peeking from behind the bookshelf. She turns around, thinking, from how abnormally concerned Evany is about that book, it can almost be confirmed that it's the secret ledger. She never expected Evany to have Havanek's ledger. Thinking carefully, Evany often runs errands for Silberg, going back and forth to the Education Institute. She's indeed a suitable person to do work for Havanek. After sorting out this clue, everything makes sense. Thinking of this, a sense of loss rises in Erin's heart. She had a good impression of Evany, never expecting her to be working for Havanek. At this moment, Erin hears someone calling out to Evany at the front desk. She peeks out to look. It's Silberg. He tells Evany to go run an errand outside, but doesn't specify what, only telling her you'll know when you get there. After Evany hurries off, Silberg shows an expression of a plan succeeding, then walks toward Erin's direction. Erin quickly hides behind a stone pillar, observing Silberg secretly, thinking, what is he looking for in the library? Unexpectedly, Silberg just pulls out a few books from the shelf, then looks deeper into the bookshelf, only to find the secret ledger that was originally there has disappeared. He anxiously searches through the bookshelf. Erin, hiding behind the stone pillar, immediately has a bad feeling. Could the true keeper of the secret ledger be Silberg? And Evany just happened to get hold of it? Thinking of this, she immediately walks forward, acting innocent and calling out to Silberg. Silberg turns around guiltily to look at her. Erin asks if he's looking for a book, and Silberg awkwardly admits it. So Erin deliberately says, if you're looking for a book, wouldn't it be better to ask Evany? I'll go call her over. Silberg hurriedly stops her. No need. There's no need to get her. He accidentally let slip. The librarian couldn't possibly know about that book. No need to trouble her. This confirms Erin's guess. She continues to act curious and asks, are there books in the library that Evany doesn't know about? Silberg shrinks back, hesitating to speak, then makes up some excuse to brush it off. Erin doesn't expose him either. Seeing the timing isn't right, Silberg doesn't stay longer and hurriedly leaves with an excuse. After he leaves, Erin drops her smile and contemplates silently. A book Evany couldn't possibly know about? At this point, it's not just suspicious anymore. Silberg was so cautious he deliberately sent the librarian away. And that thing that could possibly be taken by anyone but can't be found is clearly something he himself hid that has gone missing. After sorting out her thoughts, Erin immediately has a plan of action. If what Silberg hid in the library is a book, that's convenient. This is the Blaine family's strictly managed private library. Only direct line members or authorized persons can enter. In her past life, she only gained access after working as a secretary for a year and needed the librarian's permission each time. Therefore, servants can hardly ever come in normally. And among the direct line members who frequently enter the library, there's only Jeffrey, devoted to his research. As long as the book is hidden outside Jeffrey's range of activity, it would be flawless. Erin looks around at the surrounding bookshelves. Sure enough, they're all filled with books Jeffrey isn't interested in. She never expected Silberg to hide the secret ledger in the library. If Evany hadn't accidentally discovered it, this secret might truly have remained hidden. But Erin reconsiders. If Evany knew about it, why would she deliberately take the secret ledger out? Wouldn't that attract more suspicion? Recalling Evany's reaction, she seems completely unaware of the secret ledger's contents. Erin sits down in front of the bookshelf, feeling there are too many clues now to determine the exact reason. Thinking carefully, Evany is the first librarian she's met in this lifetime. She's a talent personally promoted by the Blaine family, smart and capable. But in her past life, the Blaine family quietly replaced her. In contrast, Silberg stayed at the mansion until Abelin and his brother enrolled, and this matter caused him no loss. In a flash of insight, Erin's thinking comes closer to the truth than ever before. In her past life, Evany was most likely driven out of the family or even assassinated by Havenick because she discovered the secret ledger. Night falls and Erin returns to her room. Lisa dries her hair with the new style hair dryer, marveling at how useful this magical device is. Erin proudly jumps down from the chair, saying this is Jeffrey's invention. Hearing this, Lisa trembles in fear, saying she'll be more careful using it in the future. But Erin defends Jeffrey. Though he looks scary, he has a gentle side too. He personally makes me snacks every day. Lisa murmurs in disbelief. That's really hard to believe. Erin lies down in bed saying she wants to sleep and tells Lisa to leave. But Lisa insists on watching over her until she falls asleep. Seeing Lisa's sincere smile, Erin thinks, it seems the new maids will take turns watching over her every night. This way she won't be able to move freely late at night, though it's a bit troublesome, should she proceed with the plan anyway. At midnight, Lisa carries a lamp and brings her to the library at Erin's request. Erin enters the library with the excuse of looking for a book. At this moment, everything is proceeding smoothly according to plan. Her gaze darkens, looking toward the counter. She finds a reason to send away the honest and simple Lisa. Lisa falls for it and leaves as instructed. Once she's gone, Erin drops her innocent smile and quickly rushes toward the counter. As she runs, she sorts through her thoughts. Evany's reaction during the day was very much like someone who just discovered the secret ledger, and she herself showed interest in that book at the time, preventing Evany from returning it to its original place. But Evany couldn't possibly take the book home after work. If she were in Evany's position, she would definitely think under the counter is the safest hiding spot. She searches carefully and indeed finds the book. She opens the red leather cover and confirms this is indeed Havenick's secret ledger as she knows it. Next, she just needs to slip this book among other books. Mission accomplished! Erin thinks calmly and confidently. Now she finally has the leverage to eliminate Havenick from the adoption list. She clenches her fists in secret joy. Havenick, now you can't escape from my grasp. At this moment, Lisa's voice comes from behind. She hurries over to rejoin Lisa. During their conversation, Erin is surprised to learn that Lisa is illiterate. Lisa shares that she was once responsible for cleaning the library. While working, she wanted to teach herself to read but could never find books suitable for beginners. Erin thinks for a moment, then offers to teach Lisa to read. Lisa looks at her in disbelief. Miss, you seemed like a big sister just now. No, more like a teacher, Lisa says, with both admiration and emotion, because Miss didn't treat me like a fool and is willing to teach me knowledge. She thinks for a moment and asks, is Mrs. dream to become a teacher or to become a researcher like Lord Jeffrey? Erin thinks seriously and answers, I want to become a merchant like grandfather. With a vast trading company, she declares to Lisa with determination, becoming a wealthy person who never has to worry about money for a lifetime. That's my goal. Lisa is amused by her adorable appearance and laughs heartily, reminding her that she must study hard then. Erin deeply agrees. Lisa thinks to herself, they say she's shy, but it seems that's not the case. She stands up and solemnly tells Erin, then from now on, I will fully support Miss in achieving your dream. The two are deep in conversation, completely unaware that a figure in the corner quietly slips away.